go. Hello, hello. Where is Pav? Whenever you want to come in, we're starting. Okay. 1 Bitcoin or more, but I'm working on this. You'll see it. NDeet is Pavlonik's. Yes, but in the meantime, tag.
Yeah.
Get the tag.
Thanks, sir.
We're ready, starting whenever you want. Boom. One, two. Test. Can you hear me well? Hear me well? Nice. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to BTCPay Day 2024. Before I begin in fully and allow all the conversations to finish, I want to say thank you to my teammates. You know, over the years, they have taken care of Uncle in so many ways, and today is just a perfect example of that. You know, behind this hip look and, you know, hat, there is an old man, you know, and so I'm getting old, and see, they got me a chair, you know, microphone. So thank you, Pavloniks, Kukks, NDeet, Webworthy, Dstrukt, Dennis. Can we get a round of applause for them? I mean, I'm not big on claps as Matt Odell, but you know, I am up there. And we'll also have Topsis, who couldn't come because of visa issues. Yeah, thank you, EU. And Emperor Nicolas, but Emperor Nicolas will be joining remotely. We also have regular Nicolas from Galoy, right there in the audience. Yeah, but we'll see. It's been 5 years since we first held our gathering here in Riga. We really wanted a time and place where we can come together, because while few of us actively every day work on BTCPay Server, all of us, the way I see it, all of us contribute to it. We would be nothing without community we have built. And while sometimes it's challenging to answer crazy questions in Telegram channel, you know. Thank you, Kukks, NDeet. Patch also was active with that. When I look at moments like this, great moments where community comes together, it's all worth it. And it is moments like this where we come together and decide how to go forward that really propel us as a project towards more and more and more success. And we saw that in 2022. This is probably the group picture with the most people and most smiles, and it's really, I must say, my favorite group picture of that we took at BTCPay Day. And we kept going with those gatherings last year. We were also here 2023, where we announced we're going to do BTCPay App, because as Pavloniks coined it really well, like not everyone can run a server, but everyone can install an app. This is a picture from that last year. But last year we also took it not only here, took it on the road. We didn't do BTCPay Day just in Riga, we did it in Tokyo, went to Emperor's hometown, had a blast. Parker had a great presentation on upcoming BTCPay documentary that was released. By the way, show of hands, who watched BTCPay documentary? My trust in you is broken. Oh, nice. So after this day, those of you that haven't raised hand, need to watch it, and I'll gladly give you a preview, a trailer. But to me, when I look at all these pictures, I realize it's together with you, our community, is that we will be everywhere. Today, for example, you will hear it from Ali, who has done one of the best, in my opinion, BTCPay Server deployments, running 450 merchants on a single instance in Bitcoin jungle. But it's not just him, we will hear it from other people like Miles, Connor, George, Calle, my fellow cypherpunks, and like other people who have supported BTCPay in various ways. But I'm subjective. However, when it comes to individual support, I would say that no one has supported BTCPay more and with bigger old caps than Matt Odell. Give it up for Odell. Matt, open it up for keynote.
Good afternoon. This picture actually is kind of hilarious because that was when I first started consulting for Bitcoin Magazine.
Yeah.
And BitPay was their payment processor. They paid them like a couple $1 million to be the payment processor. Well, thanks for having me. I mean, I think I wouldn't call myself the largest supporter. I feel like that goes for a lot of you guys in this room. I mean, this project has been absolutely amazing to watch grow. It's one of the most unique, powerful open source projects in the world, not just in Bitcoin. And particularly how the organization has been structured and this goal of trying to make it sustainable and robust and global has been pretty crazy. I mean, I don't think most open source projects have a community like this that shows up and constantly contributes. Why am I here? I'm here because my friends asked me for their support, and I have trouble saying no to things, so that's why I'm in Riga in general. I mean, this is a beautiful city. It's been a whirlwind of events for the last 5-6 days. I guess this is like conference day 6. But 2019 Riga, I was here for BTCPay Day, the first BTCPay Day ever. Met a lot of you guys for the first time, and may have met most of you guys for the first time. I think it was the first time I ever spoke on stage. I was a humble, just audience member of BTCPay Day 1. That picture from BTCPay Day 1, I was actually standing on the opposite side of the camera because I was like, no photos, I don't want to get my dox my face. Anyway, here we are 5 years later, and it's pretty fucking crazy how far we've come. I think you guys like pat yourselves on the back. I know the burnout's real. But the progress has been absolutely astounding. BTCPay now is absolute essential infrastructure. I mean, I use it on a daily basis. I couldn't imagine a world where we don't have it. If we didn't have it, our lives would be so much worse. So I think it's just important for people to. It's important for you to just like sit there and just think for a second on how far we've come, because I think it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day. Like I mean, yeah, 5 years. That's not that much time, but it feels like we've made like 3 decades worth of progress. What else? BTCPay was also one of the first projects where I started to realize what an issue it was in terms of support for open source contributors. Not just funding, but like emotional support, mentorship, the education side, bringing in new developers. And we've come so far. I remember, I think Dennis is in this room. But there he is, Dennis is over there. I don't know what year it was, Dennis, but me and Dennis came together and were like, we need to get funding to open source contributors. And this was before the HRF Dev Fund, this is before OpenSats, this is before Spiral. And Dennis, mostly Dennis created this site called Bitcoin Dev List. I was just like the guy who tweeted it out often. But we had this site called Bitcoin Dev List, and this idea was you can fund Bitcoin open source contributors directly with no middleman, like the proper cypherpunk way, with Bitcoin. And contributors would go to the website and they would submit a pull request, and they would just put their BTCPay server on. So it was all powered by BTCPay Server. And then, like, very few people donated. It was kind of a massive wake-up call. And then Ben and I launched OpenSats because we realized we needed people wanted to donate, but they didn't want the friction of picking who to donate to and doing the review process. They just wanted to be able to donate to like a general fund and have the board decide where it goes. And with all that said, I'm incredibly proud that now, 5 years later, OpenSats is one of the largest financial supporters of BTCPay Server. And you guys deserve that. You guys 100% deserve that, so thank you very much. Anyway, guys, oh look, this is Bitcoin Dev List. I didn't even look. It's still up there.
Yeah.
Consider, I think now Nostr actually is hopefully going to do what we were hoping Bitcoin Dev List was going to do, where people just zap contributors directly. I think that's going to take a lot of time though, and it's good, we have Arsh here from HRF. It's good that we have organizations like OpenSats and HRF to kind of bootstrap the process, but I ideally hope that one day the dream that was Bitcoin Dev List with no middleman, supporting contributors directly, becomes reality. But anyway, with all that said, you guys have a great lineup today. I think you've heard enough of me this week. I just want to thank you all. I want you to keep fighting the good fight, keep pushing forward. The world needs you, and there's a lot of us that are quietly dependent on you guys, and incredibly grateful. So thank you all.
Thank you for the great introduction, Matt. And what you're going to see now is how my life at BTCPay is, because with Nicolas just decided to change to Zoom instead of Google Meets. So I'm trying to get him on to Zoom. Give me just a second. There you go. You can't see the audience. Maybe I will join this link as well to give you a video feed.
Okay.
But you're...
Can you hear now?
Yeah, we hear you well. You're in front
Okay.
of
Perfect.
300 people here.
I only see you on the screen, so difficult to imagine.
Yes, well, Uncle will get you a video feed of the room, but in the meantime, welcome and start with the presentation, and I'll get you the video feed as well.
Thanks. Yeah, give me 1 second just so I find where to share. Okay, you can see my slide right now or not?
Yep, you're good. Fiatless Fiat. Let's go, Emperor.
Fiatless Fiat, yes. So today I want to talk about an idea that I believe it's kind of a new type of money that we have never seen before. Maybe some of you that follow me saw what I wrote in a blog post recently, and I do not claim to have invented anything new. But it's just a different point of view of something you already have heard about, and I wrote about this idea in a blog post in more depth. This presentation isn't really meant to go into the detail. It's more like to convince you that I think we're overlooking something fundamentally important, and probably because it looks dumb and it's a very easy idea. And if I manage to read my goal, I hope you will read the blog post I wrote in further detail about that. So before I talk about Fiatless Fiat, I want to start in a way more concrete problem that I was aiming to solve. And it's a problem that we are on since at least last year or something like this. And we have been a kind of depressing state of affair in Bitcoin conference in general, because in lots of Bitcoin conference, like people are not often able to feel and touch Bitcoin, and all the talks in the world about Bitcoin won't hit people as much as having a first-hand use of it. And in a lot of Bitcoin conference, if you don't own Bitcoin, then you cannot buy it. And if you don't own it, you can sometimes not spend it. So you may feel it's improving with Riga, Nashville, Atlantis, Bitcoin Prague, that we helped. And so typically, for example, Bitcoin Prague, it was not us, it was LNP. LNP started as a fork of BTCPay. And we really encourage like having more companies taking this matter into their hands. For Riga, Atlantis, Nashville, typically it was a collaborative effort between the organizers, the team, and some other Bitcoin companies. And so those conferences are kind of more of the exception than the norm, I would say. As a team, we are helping conference because we want direct feedback on how to improve a BTCPay server. But our long-term goal is that to have a kind of community of ambassadors kind of taking care of that instead of us. Ultimately, like BTCPay team, we are more like weapon makers than soldiers. Our goal is more to sharpen the weapons and let you fight the war with it. And we should not be running the show, even if time to time we want to try the new things we're developing on in the first-hand matter. So Bitcoin Prague uses LNP. That was a central payment processor. As I said, we are encouraging this type of business to be done. And I wanted to know like what is preventing normal business to accept to put Bitcoin in the forefront. And so I will to explain you the idea. Like remember those three different stereotypes of merchants that don't want to have Bitcoin, or conference organizer that don't want to accept volatility risk, and Bitcoiners that are in the middle of it and like wonder like why we cannot really use Bitcoin in Bitcoin conference. So actually, the reason you already probably know it in this room. You're all at Core Bitcoiner here for a while. So first reason is that organizer are busy. It's like very hard work to organize a conference. Organizing booth, picker, logistic. Merchants are also very busy. They are just here to flip burgers. And they don't want more work. All of them are very happy to accept Bitcoin so long as it doesn't distract them from their work. And as BTCPay Server team, we provide that for them, but it's more for tasting our own medicine. And like I said, we want ambassador to take care of that in the future. The second reason is that, yeah, they need fiat. So while we know that Bitcoin is money, you won't get anywhere trying to convince people otherwise in a short time frame. And we should take it as a given and respect it. The conference need to pay most of the supplier in fiat and some merchant as well. And there is some kind of exchange risk as well for a conference. Like exchanging fiat and Bitcoin is kind of a gray zone. You need a lawyer, and conferences are just too busy for that. Merchants are busy with accounting as well. And I think it's a shame when you think about it, because Bitcoin conference is full of people that are willing to take this kind of risk if it means that they can get more sats at the end of the day. So the different tactic that we tried to approach was, so typically in Bitcoin Atlantis and in Riga last year. So what has been done is you have a hungry Bitcoiner that want to pay the merchants for some burgers. Then we have some kind of process that send these Bitcoins to stable coins, to exchange stable coins on the shitcoin casino. And then at the end of the conference, like the merchant send the stable coin to the conference organizer. The conference organizer then can get the fiat money and pay cash the merchants. So it works, but like there is kind of inefficiency here. Like first, 2% is lost in trying to convert Bitcoin or Tether, more or less in it. It doesn't work in all jurisdictions. Like the exchange, yeah, it's very jurisdiction dependent. For information, I consider that Blink, when we use the Blink integration, is kind of the same model because at the end of the day, it's not a stable coin as a Tether token, but it is still like kind of token provided by another company. And yeah, merchant need a shitcoin wallet. That doesn't work well. You need to trust in a stable coin. So it's okay. We have like some case study about that, but obviously as a Bitcoiner, I'm not 100% happy with that. We also saw the third-party payment processor. So it's basically what happened with LNPay, or what happened with Strike. So basically, BTCPay kind of become a glorified checkout page, and like when the money is sent, the money goes directly to the exchange, and the exchange in their own ledger, like they are kind of converted in fiat in some ways. And sometimes there is a two-step on that where the merchant send to the conference organizer. The organizer has an account on the exchange, and they send the Bitcoin there and to trying to stabilize their money. So it's kind of using third-party processor, and I mean it works fine. BTCPay Server, we always want to maximize your freedom, so you are free to do that. Obviously, as a Bitcoiner, it's not perfect. The KYC is complicated. For example, in the first schema, the exchange might need to KYC all the merchants. The merchants are too busy to deal with this shit. And in the second case, it's a conference that is doing kind of the transfer between the merchants and the exchanges. And then it means that the exchange is taking some legal risk by doing that. So it's not good. Though, for the user perspective, I think it's kind of interesting because it means that they can very easily change payment methods. Imagine that one day they want to change a payment processor, then they can do it very easily without having to switch their backend or any integration they are having. And third-party payment processor are kind of happy because it means they don't have to deal with making integration by themselves. They just integrate to BTCPay Server, and everywhere BTCPay Server is supported, then they can serve their customer. So it's a win-win on two fronts. But yeah, obviously, like for Bitcoin is not good. We want kind of more self-sovereign solutions, and yeah. So yeah, it's not the best. Another solution that we didn't develop, I keep displaying behind. So another big, very interesting format that we didn't try yet, and I hope that we try in the future. And I am the most bullish about this because it's like kind of the most practical on the short time frame. It's to use Cashew. And I think later we'll talk more in detail about Cashew, but like the basic idea is that the Bitcoiner is buying a food token to the conference by Bitcoin or by cash, directly from the Cashew wallet, or maybe the physical booth in the events. And then the Bitcoiner can just use the Cashew token to pay in exchange for food at the conference. So it's kind of a very, I'm bullish on this because legally speaking, there is no risk for the conference. They are basically just selling food tickets. So it's kind of a private money in a way. It's like gift card, coupon, fidelity points. It's not real money. It's not like public money that is very that has a lot of regulation. It's kind of more relaxed. And at the end of the conference, then the merchant can exchange those tokens to the conference, to the organizer, and the organizer can give the cash. I think it's very clear that from legal perspective, it's kind of safe. Now there is some downside to it. Like Cashew is actually Bitcoin, and like there is no way to that NFC payment, so you still need a mobile phone. Which is, well, this is kind of okay. I think given enough time, this is something that can be solved. I really like Cashew because the community behind it put lots of effort to make it usable without internet connection. And in a conference, we cannot expect that all attendees has a very reliable connection. We can have that for the merchant, but for the senders, it's more complicated. And so I think it's a very bullish solution. But anyway, I didn't want to talk about this idea. Maybe later, Calle will talk more about that. What I want to talk is more about Fiatless Fiat. So I will take a step back about what I call as well the Bitcoin dollar with stable channels. The stable channels is not my idea. Like it has been Tony's that you can follow on Twitter here. I've been working on some proof of concept on that. On my side, I was more interested in the very recently I kind of read this book, Broken Money from Luna Blend. Maybe some of you already read it. Normally I don't really like Bitcoin books because I'm here for a long time and it's always the same idea that gets rehashed. But for this book, it did the trick. Like she kind of get a different way of seeing the evolution of money over the years. And it was kind of refreshing. It's not a Bitcoin book, it's more a book about money. She talked about Bitcoin, of course, but it's not the main topic. And if you didn't read it, basically I will summarize it into 3 memes. So for Lynn, the interesting part of money is that there is 3 types of technology around money. One is bearer assets, and she said basically there is no fundamental difference between a gold coin and a dollar bill. Basically, it's kind of a bearer assets. And there have been lots of type of bearer assets along the years. We also had ledgers. So from our point of view, there is no much technological difference between a clean tablet from a Mesopotamian merchant recording debt and credit, a Rhinestone with ownership that is in the memory of community, a spreadsheet on Excel or a database in a bank. Eurodollar or Reserve as a Fed, Asian dollars, it's all using the same technology, it's just a ledger that is owned by someone. And that's what defines the ownership, not physical possession unlike bearer assets. It's possible that ledgers were kind of even predating bearer assets, but yeah, it's one of the technology to track values. And of course, blockchains. And for our same thing, there is not much difference between Bitcoin and Tether or any other stable coins. Blockchain, as you know, you don't have the ledger in quotes is not belonging to anybody. It's like everybody is in consensus about what's the state of it, and you kind of save efficiency in reconciliation and disputing. So before you had two ledgers, and if there was a difference between both, then you needed to settle to fix those disputes. Like blockchain kind of fix this to by providing a way to have a consensus between us. And my point is that I think Bitcoin dollar, what I represent, is kind of fundamentally different of all those types of money, and it's a very stupid idea. And I will just start how it works in a concrete way. Imagine that a merchant in a conference is selling burgers. Let's say he has what I would call a stable channel wallet. So first thing, he will need a channel with a lightning service provider. And in this example, the channels is loaded from the side of the LSP. So the LSP open a channel to the merchants. Then suddenly, like a hungry Bitcoiner appear and want to buy a burger. So the burger is $5, and so what will happen is that the merchant is a stable channel wallet will enter 5 USD, and a lightning invoice will be generated. The payment will be made by the Bitcoiner, and the balance reflected. So for now, nothing special. It's just pure lightning, nothing. The interesting part is, like, stable channel is just an agreement between a merchant and a lightning service provider to send sats to one another depending on the change in price of Bitcoin. So for example, if the Bitcoin price go up, then the merchant node will send sat to the LSP, and if it go down, then it will go the other way. And they can do that at a high frequency to prevent the risk of rug pull. So it's very easy to understand, and it's very lax by nature. Both parties don't have to agree too closely on the price. They just have to define some acceptable limits, which define when they should stop the relationship. Both parties have very limited ability to make profit by not sending sats from one side or another. Because if one side stops sending sats continuously, then they can just stop the relationship and nobody lose money. The worst thing that can happen is that the peg is broken and the volatility risk is shipped to the merchant. But what is more interesting is that actually there is nothing specific to dollar on this. It can work with any currencies. So in this, so for example, a user in the US may have a stable channel with a US LSP. In Japan, user in Japan can have a stable channel with a LSP in Japan, and the two LSP might have a normal, lightning channel, nothing fancy at all. And if both the merchant that is, imagine now that a merchant in the US is, imagine that you have a tourist, a Japanese tourist that is in Hawaii, and you want to buy a hamburger in Hawaii. Then what you can imagine is that in Hawaii the merchant has a stable channel wallet that say, okay, the user wants to pay 5 USD, so you enter 5 USD. And it creates a lightning invoice, and from the side of the Japanese customer, his stable channel wallet, when he scans the QR code, will just show the price in GPY. So no need even to mention like Bitcoin anywhere. And when the Japanese pay, basically under the hood it's just Bitcoin that goes through. And it's a very stupid idea. I mean, there is no fancy crypto, not anything like no fancy crypto at all. But when you think about it, what you just did by this model is a cross-currency payment between two countries, and the US LSP only know about US dollar, the Japanese LSP only know the Japan dollar, and they are all connected by Lightning, and they can do like currency conversion via Bitcoin in a very simple way. So the nice thing is that the LSP don't have to be a company, don't have to be regulated. The LSP can just be anonymous because there is a very limited trust involved between the LSP and the users. So I think it's very low barrier of entry for any LSP if the tools are available. The only thing that needs to be done is that the LSP need to have a route between them to do the payments over Lightning. But we can go further than this. I said, like, for example, the merchant has a US balance, but you can very imagine that instead of a US, it's kind of, the merchant can decide to say, okay, my balance is $5, 10 stocks of Tesla and 0.1 Bitcoin. And in a way, it's kind of like if the user has their own DIY ETF, and so long as the LSP agree to take the volatility risk on such kind of mix of assets, it's kind of like if you have it's kind of a different way of doing brokering of stocks in a way. You can really kind of pay for your coffee back with your ETF in this model. I'm looking far away, but like it's something that's historically possible and very simple. So coming back to our original problem, the solution in the conference to solve this problem will be like every merchant have their own stable channel wallet. They connect to an LSP that provide those stable channels. The Bitcoiner pay in Bitcoin, and under the hood, like the merchant and the LSP are making are sending Bitcoin back and forth to stabilize the assets, to stabilize the assets on the merchant's side. And it can even be like in several steps. Like imagine there can be the conference on the middle that don't want the volatility, but all the merchants connect to the to the conference, and the conference connect to LSP. And that way, like the conference is like shifting the risk to the LSP and maybe taking like some routing fee on the middle to pay for this. Or it can be an ambassador. And every time I talk about an LSP, I'm not talking about the big LSP we are saying today. I'm talking about more local Bitcoin ambassador, like maybe you will see some talk later today. So is it too good to be true? Maybe. The merchants want fiat in bank deposit or cash, not Bitcoin USD, so you still have a small issue. The rug pull risk is basically the volatility of the underlying assets that are stabilized multiplied by the amount of it. So you cannot really stabilize a bank with that because 0.01% of price change in USD might correspond to some million of dollars more or less. So it's kind of a big deal if one side decides to stop pegging. And it's very far-fetched because it's a new. I believe it's a new type of money. You need new business model. You need new protocols. You need new infrastructure. So it's something that is more long-term, forward-looking. And yeah, my hope in this talk is just to make you think about this idea more deeply, and maybe if a community develop around that. As always, BTCPay Server, we will always work hard to integrate with what you are building. So if I manage to convince you on that, and you are interested, you can read more in more details where I did a blog post, and I stepped through about what happened exactly if somebody is paying, how to stabilize the channel, and all the different type of risk and cost that is involved is more in depth. But yeah, I didn't want to talk about that in this presentation. It's a bit too harsh. So that's about it. I hope you like it, and I think I wanted to talk first because I think some of those topics I briefly aborted will be talked by other speakers later in this conference today. So you will be able to connect the dots. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. You have applause here, and maybe now I can turn it around without messing up setup. Parker is up there being like, oh, please don't break it. Can you see people?
What's up, boss?
What's up?
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it's way better like this. Yeah, you have all the high emperor. But to me, your talk pointed out one of the biggest things, and that is that we needed government, we needed judiciary system, we needed all these institutions in order to maintain our money system. And it's so impressive that now we don't need them anymore. Like, we can just use code, and we can do all of that on top of Bitcoin. Like Calle is doing eCash. And eCash is not just for Bitcoin, it's for more than that. But Calle, can you join us here on the stage to talk about that? And as he's joining, please, a round of applause for our cypherpunk Calle. Emperor, do you want to stay and observe them?
Yeah.
You fucking rock for your presentation, Nicolas.
You can turn off sharing your screen, and you can stay if you want to watch, or we can turn it off. What do you prefer? Oh no, Zoom says you need to go.
I will turn off my screen and the sharing, but I will. If I can listen to you, I will be glad. So don't cut
Stay in the talk.
No. Those are left. Okay.
Censored. Over to you, Calle and Kukks.
Well, hello everyone. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, welcome.
What are we going to talk about? Should I just start with first saying how fucking awesome you guys are? Can I?
We know it, man. We know it.
Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I mean, it's a great honor to be here because this is probably the most based event in this whole conference series. I've been to the BTCPay days. Every time I've been here in Riga for a couple of times, I love how everyone is just hungover and done from the conference, and they still drag their souls into this event every year to be together. So thank you for organizing this. BTCPay Server, I regard it as one of the most fundamental cornerstones of this entire open source ecosystem that we're working on all together in Bitcoin. It's truly amazing project. And as someone who's working on a separate open source project, I always wanted to say this, and I use this opportunity today to make it very clear how important it is that a project like this exists for other projects to look up to. In Cashew, we study BTCPay Server. I diligently study the BTCPay Server project, the community, the way you guys organize this, work on your code, build a following and supporters, have worked tirelessly to make the BTCPay Foundation self-sustaining, and this is truly the way. It is the absolute best way to push an open source project. And I just want to say thank you for all the inspiration. You guys are literally the reference implementation of how to do an open source project right, and I'm very grateful for that.
Big words. What do you say on that, Kukks?
Yeah, can't say much of that. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, it's all Pavlineks. You should be very happy about Pavlineks. Also, you guys are all important, but this guy is fucking magical. Like, you have something really, really special there.
Yeah, he's busy outside selling tickets.
This is the way.
No, but that's how you know a good PM, from my experience, being in the US for what now? Like, they'll be 2 decades soon. It's like you have all these product people in Silicon Valley, and I have that meme, if they don't know how to code, coders who can't code, designers who can't design, product management, But great PMs, in my experience, they're the ones that, take the shit from the team.
Always.
Always, do the tasks that no one else wants to do, or, do the tickets, test the solution. So Sorry, Calle, but he's not switching. We're keeping it. So you gotta find your own bottlenecks.
I know, and I've been trying to. So let's talk about eCash.
One thing I want to mention, like, thanks a lot, Calle, as well, for working on Cashew. So BTCPay, like, Bitcoin is kind of an open protocol, and the nice thing about that is that we have really lots of different teams in Bitcoin working on many different things. In BTCPay Server, we have kind of the approach where basically we're we're riding along what other teams in the community are building and kind of integrating it. So yeah, thanks as well for working on Cashew. Like I said, and I told you already, but I'm super bullish on what you guys are doing. And I think you already did what needs to be done, and next will be now it's our turn to work on that too. But I won't go too far because else Pavel next will kill me about feature creep scope.
Well, let's go there. Now that we're all done kissing each other's ass, let's talk about tech. All right. Woo! Let's talk about eCash. So we're working on Cash, and actually there are now 3 things that we could talk about. We should maybe just mention all of them. In my mind, now there's stable channels. I'm very surprised that you were talking about stable channels because it's something that we're looking heavily into for Cashew. I love the idea of Fiatless Fiat. Second one is your food token pyramid scheme that you're starting for merchants. Very fascinating. And I think the third thing that we could talk about is eCash payments in BTCPay and .NET and the possible integrations in the future. I just want to say, like, these are all, at least for me, ideas. So disclaimer, there is no code yet, so it's basically just vaporware at this point. But it's still necessary to think about these things thoroughly before you start working on it, so let's just do that. Maybe we'll start with stable channels, because we can just finish that off. It has not much to do with BTCPay yet, but I was surprised. I mean, stable channels is, as Nicolas demonstrated, is a lightning channel between 2 normal lightning nodes, no fancy cryptography, and both of them agree to keep, like, one party wants to keep the dollar value of the lightning balance stable, and they do that by going short Bitcoin. And the other party, on the opposite side of the channel, goes, I think, 2x leverage long Bitcoin. It's like this financial contract agreement that you do. And so one party remains stable in USD, for example, or any other asset that you want to peg to, and the other party goes 2x long Bitcoin. So if the price goes up, they benefit more from it. And they do that by regularly sending payments to each other. You saw these a bunch of payments that Nicolas showed in the slide. By settling Bitcoin let's say every minute, send a bunch of Bitcoin back and forth to keep the price, the balance stable in that fiat denomination. One requirement for stable channels is that you have an always online requirement because of that. You have 2 parties, they all need their lightning nodes, obviously, and those lightning nodes must be making payments regularly, depending on how the price changes. And if you don't like what your counterparty is doing, you can just close the channel. So it's not fancy cryptography, and I remember this being proposed around 2 years ago, not even, like 1 year ago. And when we were talking about this idea at BTC Prague, everyone was a bit skeptical around, which is good, I think, because, well, there is no fancy crypto. What happens if I just close the channel and the price goes down and I can rug you a little bit and so on. But it's a great example of something not perfect, but simple enough to be extremely useful, I would say. So that's why there's interest in it now.
I come back on Cashew on that because, like, the nice thing when idea is simple, actually Cashew is simple, like the protocol is very bare bone. And the nice thing is that when you have a simple protocol or simple idea like this, it means more people can develop on top of it. And like for stable channels, like BTCPay Server, we won't be the one like developing on that. I hope it will be like Cashew. I hope that some team will appear and like do this kind of infrastructure work that need to be done. But the nice thing is that because it's simpler, there is a bigger pool of people able to do that. And it's the same thing with Cashew. Like there is lots of development on it, and a big part of it is actually because it's simple.
100%.
So yeah.
It's incredibly simple.
Yes, it's for retards. It was designed for retards and it should be used by them. And this is all by design, basically. It follows the same kind of principles of Nostra and LNURL, which are both very simple protocols. And as a developer, when you start working on either of these three protocols, the developer experience triggers your dopamine response just the right way. So like you start reading documentation, you implement something, and you know the 10% of work that you already did, he's like, yes, fuck yeah, this works. And then you go to the next step and you work on that, and it's like, fuck yeah, this works. And you just keep going until you have a full implementation. And that's the magic of keeping things simple and modular so that you can build layers on top.
How many nuts do you have now of the protocol?
How many nuts? We have, I think, 16 different nuts. And because nuts are the notation, utilization, terminology. These are our specification documents that you can read in English language and implement. I think 16.
16, okay. I think I got them all.
You got them all. Okay.
Yeah, so I implemented the Cashew library in C#, I don't know, how long ago was it, like a month ago or two? And
You say what it's called, it's the best name of it.
.NUT. And it took maybe like 1 or 2 days to do the whole thing, and that's what you really want in a protocol. You don't want insane mumbo jumbo that will break your heart when you spend like 3 months working on it. You're like hoping this kind of works, and it's all kind of great. With this kind of protocol, where you can just jump in, do 2 days of maximum work, and you'll have something that works. That's what you need in an open protocol. That's the same direction of LNURL and Nostra. Basically, you can just jump in and it's like 1-2 hours of work and you have something tangible to show.
That's right. So, in case you have seen USD eCash floating around, the only instances of USD eCash that I know of that are also being used by people are actually backed by these stable channels, to come back to what we started with. So you can, on top of the stable channel, you can not only make the little merchant, little boy who's scared of Bitcoin happy because he doesn't want the volatility, but you could even make the scared little customers happy if they don't want to hold Bitcoin, while still just doing everything with Bitcoin and not touching fiat rails at all. So what we have been doing is basically building Cashew mints that can hook up to a stable channel, and you could say that stable channel has $5,000 in, and the mint then starts issuing dollars as eCash to its individual users. The users don't even really need to understand that they're holding something that is backed by Bitcoin actually. What it just shows them is that they have dollars, and they make payments of it, and when they want to basically destroy this eCash back into the larger financial system, quote unquote, then you'd have to go through the Bitcoin network to pay a Lightning invoice, for example. So this is a perfectly transparent way and permissionless way to build fiat-denominated currencies outside any kind of permission or control of any party, because you can run these things literally in the jungle without anyone telling anyone, without asking anyone.
So this is one way to use eCash, right?
Yes.
Where you basically are doing Bitcoin stuff with an eCash system on top of it. But there's another way, right? eCash doesn't have to be just a Bitcoin technology. It can be all sorts of different kinds of money. You can make your own money. You don't always have to create some crazy blockchain scheme to do a token for like an event. Like, I'm not going to create a hamburger token for a conference for the weekend and then have to sell it online, put it on an exchange. You don't need to do that. If you are a conference, like I think it was in the step, like one of the methods that Nicolas mentioned before. If you're running a conference and you want to give out food vouchers or entry tickets, you can use eCash as a denomination for it. And it's quite simple to do. It's a lot more manageable. It allows people to so eCash actually gives you back programmable money that came with Bitcoin to other kinds of technology. So you want to sell tickets to an event, you want to sell food vouchers to an event, great, you can do eCash tokens for those. But the cool thing is it's programmable. You can actually allow somebody to trustlessly give his entry ticket to somebody else without the rug pull problem.
Yes, this is great actually. I was approached by organizers of a Bitcoin conference recently about this idea because they have exactly this problem. They're selling tickets to their users, customers, but these users are reselling the tickets to others, which is often also within the terms of conditions, so that's fine. However, the problem is that the receiver isn't able to check for double spending, right? So if you buy a ticket from someone, you don't know whether the ticket has been sold multiple times to someone else already. So you suddenly have like 5 people showing up at the conference and only one of them gets in. And you can avoid this by issuing tickets with eCash, because with eCash you could represent a ticket as an eCash token, give it from one person to another, and the receiving person knows for sure that no one else is able to spend that eCash, similar to how we program money. And I really like the idea of also taking eCash out of this monetary context, because this is essentially, since I've been talking about this in the conference as well, but the idea of eCash died in the 90s when they tried DigiCash and it failed, and they were trying to denominate eCash as a currency, but it has silently lived through several privacy projects ever since. One of the famous example that was just a project that was recently shut down is Google One VPN. It's a typical Google move to shut down service, but it existed for a while, and they were using something very, very similar to eCash. You could just call it eCash. They were using eCash to limit the access to their VPN service. So in their mind, and this is also something that I want to present a bit more or make people think of eCash that way, is you can use eCash to de-link 2 operations in a system. So let's say the operations you want to de-link are paying for your VPN. This could be with your credit card and all your identifying information, and then the actual use of the VPN. So you pay for the service and you use the service, and in the middle there needs to be something that tracks whether you're allowed to do that. And if you replace that in the middle thing with eCash, you introduce almost perfect privacy or unlinkability between the two. So this is how Google built their Google One VPN. This is how you could build a conference ticketing system where the users remain anonymous after payment. This is how you can build a digital cash system where users of an IOU remain anonymous or unlinked from the initial payment into the mint, for example, with Bitcoin, and payment out of the mint with Bitcoin.
But going back to Cashew, you already support multiple tokens inside the protocol itself. So you can actually have all these different ways to use it consolidated into one wallet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can have an eCash wallet that you've been using for your Bitcoin balance, or using it as a wallet in itself. You can have your conference tickets directly inside the same wallet. You can actually meet somebody in the street and say, oh, I'll sell you my tickets. And you can do it in the same system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing. That's the way I want to see it go. That's why Nicolas is so excited about it. It's an open protocol. People have already built the stuff around it. And if you wanted to offer a service around this, why not just tap into it?
Exactly. So I'm very excited to see how these utility tokens work out. I can imagine that this is very useful for events, especially where you have internet connectivity issues, and choosing the actual product as the asset that is backing the eCash, which is funny, right? You could say the eCash is backed by pizza, or the eCash is backed by literal beer. But it's a very, very sneaky way of introducing cryptography and utility without, but while avoiding all of the headache that you might have or introduce with custodial systems. And I just want to say that I respect it a lot about BTCPay, the project itself. I'm a big fan of BTCPay, as you can see. I'm a big fan of eCash, and I'm very well aware that the BTCPay Server project is, promotes sovereignty and independence. That's why it's so dear to my heart. So as a developer of a custodial system, I don't want to push this custodial viewpoint on top of BTC. Like, I feel kind of bad almost sometimes making the suggestion, like it's fine, but I understand that the BTCPay project values sovereignty. So making a decision of implementing something into their stack really needs to ask the question, do I want to burden my users with this risk that I'm, giving or enabling them to take by enabling a custodial system on top? So I think going this way with the vouchers that represent the products that you can sell, for example, in the BTCPay store that you're running here, is a very good, like, soft way of still using the properties of eCash while avoiding the risk of people just doing something without thinking about too much. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna run a mint, and who cares? And when I close the mint, like, what about all the users suddenly that haven't cashed out yet, and all these problems that come with it? I think you can, beautifully avoid that by doing this step by step in a nice and cautious way, which I think is a good way.
If you're running a business, you're not going to rug-pull your users. That's just bad marketing.
That is true, yeah. But it depends on the conference, right? Like how long. If it's an event that is like for 5 days, it could be. But obviously.
So how do we add a cashier to BTCPay Server?
Yeah, so I am, like, this is my ultimate, how do you say, end game plan. This is, in my mind, this is how we kill the credit card companies. And I'm fine with, like, not everyone sees it this way yet, but I kind of think that everyone will at some point. The credit card industry, which is, for me, synonymous for the perfect UX payment industry. Someone told it a couple of days ago in one of the dinners, and I thought it was like a nice and kind of almost brave way of saying it. Because they were saying, like, I was traveling in the mountains in Guatemala or whatever, and I can just do this beep, and I pay, and it's like 5 seconds, the payment is done. This Guatemalan guy, I'm a US person, and it just works. And this is what made me, this makes me bearish, I said, about Bitcoin. It's like, fuck, they are so good. Like, Fiat has become extremely good at payments. This is like, I'm still using credit cards, and it's literally the trade-off between UX and privacy. I know the company with the credit cards doing the credit cards knows exactly what I'm doing, exactly where I am, with whom I am, in which restaurant, and so on and so forth. But it's just so fucking good. So how do we fight against that? And it's been topic of discussion in the Bitcoin space since ever. And Lightning is a huge step forward, but obviously we all know there are more things necessary than just Lightning to reach the same UX. I'm not saying the same security. Obviously, there's basically no security in credit cards. It's kind of financed by the fees. The rug pull risk or the scam risk is financed by the fees that everyone pays. So in my mind, I think eCash can get us there. And it's not pure Bitcoin. Obviously, it's also not purely self-sovereign, but it's an ecosystem that we can build on top of Bitcoin. This is why I'm working on this. And my vision here is that a BTCPay server, which is for me synonymous for the best POS system that we will have in the hyper-Bitcoinized world, a merchant who runs a BTCPay server could run their own Lightning node in that POS terminal through the BTCPay app. They might also have a Lightning node somewhere else running an LND on Voltage or something like that. However, the BTCPay server merchant just has a Lightning wallet and doesn't want to hold eCash from mints that they don't know. But you can really improve the UX for the payer if you allow BTCPay server to receive eCash. And the way I'm thinking about this is I'm a user, like, let's say in this room there might be people who use eCash from 25 different mints, let's say, and the merchant doesn't like eCash. The merchant wants to be completely self-sovereign. The merchant can still accept eCash from its users. And the way this works, very simple, is the merchant sells a product, the user comes, hands the merchant some eCash offline, so the user can remain offline, gives the bearer asset token to the merchant, and the merchant automatically, upon receiving, destroys the eCash and withdraws to their Lightning node immediately. So this is another way, and that's also why I mentioned this trade-off or the ethos of BTCPay. I was thinking about ways, how could you introduce eCash into the system without introducing additional risks in the system. And this is one way of enabling eCash receive functionality for BTCPay server operators without trusting any mint, at the same time enabling them to receive eCash from, if you want, 1,000 different mints. So this is how we could reach the UX of Visa and MasterCard. I imagine that we will have something similar to Bolt cards or something on your phone that either works with NFC, which would be ideal, but it's probably not going to happen as long as Apple runs this policy. But it could be QR codes, it could be Bluetooth. This is something that we still need to put a lot of work in. But at the end of the day, there's only technical hurdles to allow you to tap your phone and then have eCash flow from the phone to the BTCPay terminal without internet, and then taken from the terminal, sent into the Lightning Network into the wallet of the merchant, and the merchant gives you the Apple. And I think this is a UX point that we can realistically reach and enable very similar UX to the Fiat system that we have.
Yeah, and the cool thing with this is, okay, maybe you're doing the tokens for food or something, it will be compatible with this exactly.
Yes, absolutely, same way. And it could be any denomination basically that the merchant wants to accept, or even any denomination that the user wants to pay with. So it doesn't matter if it's Japanese yen, the merchant just gets Bitcoin at the end of the day and doesn't really care about which currency you're using.
Yeah. So when should we build it?
I think 2 weeks should be enough.
Should we just do it now on stage?
Let's go, let's fucking go. I'm up for it. All right, so what else?
What else?
Do you have questions or anything from
Yeah,
the audience?
any questions from the audience? Raise your hand. There we go. Harambe, help me out. I'm old. Get the mic.
For the event, we had conveniently the NFC card, and Nicolas mentioned it's not yet possible to use the NFC card for eCash. I think if the NFC card back end says, well, we have not NSEC bunker, but like an e-money bin somewhere that also securely hands over the eCash, that's possible.
Yes, that would be possible. It would be closer to the LN URL withdraw flow, where you need two servers basically, the receiving server and the sending server.
Yeah.
It would be more cypherpunk if, at least in my mind, if you could handle it without the sender needing a server. So one way of doing NFC and eCash, and we were talking about this in front of the building, so I'm just repeat myself, but the NFC card technology feels like it got stuck in the 90s. The largest NFC cards that you'll find out there is like 4 kilobytes or something. 4 kilobytes is still 40 nuts. So a single eCash token is around 100 bytes, and you can put as many tokens on the card as you can, as fits. And you could imagine like storing the tokens in the card and then handing over the card to the merchant. It would work with like the ordinary BTCPay terminal that we're seeing everywhere. However, it would be the equivalent would be like an old lady in the store giving her purse to the cashier, and the person taking out the money, even putting the change back into the wallet of the old lady and handing back the entire wallet. So this would be the equivalent if you don't put any logic, any crypto, any buttons on the card where you can enable or say how much you want to pay and so on. You're basically handing over the entire wallet to the merchant. I think it's a fair compromise because, I mean, you're doing that with your credit card anyway. It's not like getting worse than that. So that way you could also make it on an offline NFC card, but you're really limited by storage space.
You can also go to the Nostr route, just putting an NSEC on, is it the same thing basically? You just store all your nuts in an encrypted message on Nostr, and you just have the private key that allows you to decrypt it on the card.
Holy shit, that's genius.
Well, you still have you're still high risk, right? The merchant can still run.
Yeah, but you don't need to run a server. You use the Nostr relay.
Yeah, use the
for
Nostr
it.
relay. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I guess we're done.
Any more questions?
We just have for one more.
There's one more.
So I wonder if you are a developer and want to contribute to eCash in some way, how would you start?
Oh, if you want to start, thank you for the question. If you want to start, the easiest way is to go to docs.cache.space. Then you'll be able to branch into the documentation of all the languages that we support. We're like 8 different languages and libraries in those languages. We have a Telegram channel, we have a Matrix channel, and we have a Discord server on all the server platforms that you can choose to chat. We have like a really vibrant and happy and helpful community. and I'll take personal responsibility. If you want me to take your hands and show you around, please just ping me. Definitely open. We were actively looking for more developers, especially developers who know how to build front-end stuff, because the back-end stuff is starting to work really, really well. Now we need to expand more into the UX application and actual, doing it kind of stage, which we're in. So please just DM me wherever you want and use these channels to find help.
Bitcoin eCash developer conference when?
Oh yeah, BTC eCash edition, organized by Nifty-Nay in October 11, I think, or 12, you have to check, in Berlin. It's the first eCash conference in history. You can sign up for it if you're close by somewhere in Europe, just drop by. I think it's going to be an awesome event. So check that out again, BTC++.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. And yeah, we heard it here on stage. By the time BTCPay Day is over, we will have Cashew integrated in BTCPay. Thank you, Kukks. Thank you, Calle, for that. And the next we have NDeet, who will be talking exactly about integrations. So, NDeet is now uncle. Please give him a round of applause to start.
Hello, thank you. Thank you very much for hanging in. After my talk there will be food, so yeah, we will get there. Today I want to talk mostly about integrating and extending BTCPay Server. So many of you know maybe just the normal stuff you get with BTCPay, but actually we have a lot of integrations to make it easy to accept Bitcoin payments, and also a lot of plugins where you can really build the BTCPay server stack the way you want it, so you can switch between different Lightning implementations, Lightning wallets, and yeah, I will get into that. I will not show you everything because otherwise we will be sitting here in the afternoon. So I hope to keep it short, but you still get an impression what you can do. When I make the slides to go to the next one.
See, being an uncle is not easy, very hard. So with that, we can go previous, next,
Okay.
and just to make sure, okay?
No, it works. Yeah.
Now it's good.
Okay, so first, like I said, I will talk about our integrations, then about plugins, and I will give you an example of a use case like merchants often want to accept Bitcoin payments, maybe, but they will feel safe when they can cash out in fiat. So I will show you different ways how you can make that work within Bitcoin, so you don't need any central party you join and pay fees. There are still fees involved for sure, because in the example I will show it with Strike and Bring In, but at least the Lightning part you can take over for yourself. So like I said, there are really lots of possibilities, and at this point I guess not all of us even know what we can do with BTCPay. So there are lots of integrations, there are lots of plugins, and we as developers still find out new stuff because somebody built something, and it's pretty amazing. And I want to show you some ways how you can use it. So first with integrations, so what do we mean by integrations? Integrations are built into other systems. So it's mostly some module you can download for your e-commerce store or even for other use cases. And the learnings by building those integrations are that closed platforms are really pain in the ass. So it is quite easy to integrate with open source projects. You can look into the code. The documentation is usually very good. But with closed platforms like Shopify, we have an integration, yes, but it's really hard to make it work because they just don't allow you to integrate with their payment flow. So you end up doing hacky things, and maybe you can hack into their order confirmation page and make the payment there. So another reason why we do integrations is like we want to open up to existing user bases. So Shopify and WooCommerce, all the popular e-commerce stores, they already have thousands and hundreds of thousands of merchants, and we make it very easy for them to discover a Bitcoin payment solution, and ideally they will install our plugin and accept Bitcoin payments in a self-custodial way. Yeah, most of them also have marketplaces, and we also make sure to be listed there. Although with some system it's difficult because you need some partner contract or they want some money or something. So, but we still try to get into all the marketplaces. So you basically have a one-click install experience. And yes, like this leads to ease of use for merchants. For most of our integrations are for shop systems. So for sure it's like for Bitcoin payments, and yeah, we cover a lot of popular ones, but also new ones. We try to do a few closed platforms where it's possible, but for example, like Squarespace and stuff like that, you have no way to integrate with them. So even though they are very popular. Yeah, you can, I won't tell you all the integrations we do, but you can see it on the screen. But there are also other integrations we have. So like WHMCS, it's a hosting solution or hosting e-commerce solution where you can sell domain names and hosting packages. We also have integration there. Or another one, they try to do it. So WHMCS is a closed source system, and FOSS-Billing tries to do the same but in an open source way. They are still very new, but they are getting there to cover all the use cases. Another one which we are very proud of is Invoice Ninja. So Invoice Ninja allows freelancers and agencies to do invoicing. And the great thing with them is, so we made it happen that we are directly integrated into their core release. So it means when you install Invoice Ninja, you have the option to connect to BTCPay. You don't even need to install a separate module or something. And Zenforo, it's a forum, and you can charge people for memberships. But yeah, there's more than just integrations. We have also the concept of plugins, and plugins are not installed into other systems, but plugins are installed onto BTCPay Server. So we figured out that many more projects want to contribute to BTCPay, but they may not align directly with our core values and what we want to have in the core BTCPay Server code. So this is a great way how you can extend BTCPay to your own needs, or if your company is providing a service that's around the payments stuff, then that's the right way you can integrate. To be fair, most of the plugins are done by Kukks at this point, so it's really an animal, and I think he did 80% of the plugins we have right now. And as you can see on the list, it's quite a lot. But we're gaining traction, and a few other third parties are integrating with us. So that's very good to see. I want to showcase or just quickly show you what is possible. So I will go through a few plugins. And the first one is like the Bolt Cards plugin. This one is used to set up the conference with the Bolt Cards, and it helps you to batch program Bolt Cards. You can have a balance and top-up station where your attendees can check their balance and top up their Bolt cards. And you can also, after the conference, reset the cards so the cards are not broken, but they can be reused and reprogrammed, maybe to your own BTCPay server and Lightning node so that you can use it for payments. Another very asked plugin is the subscriptions plugin. It's now there in a very basic but complete form. So you can create subscriptions pages, and you can also add our forms to the checkout, so to speak, so you can get emails or other data you need for the subscription. And it will also send notification mails to the users when the next payment is due. But it would be great to have feedback from your side, so how we can extend it and make it better. This is also a great way for ambassadors, so they can charge their users a small fee to use BTCPay Server. Another one is Nostar. It's also done by Kukks. Like, you can create NIP5 addresses, you can do SAPs, and it also integrates the Nostar Wallet Connect protocol. Another really big one done by Kukks, he spent lots of time doing it. It's the CoinJoin plugin. It uses the Wabi-Sabi protocol. If you want to go crazy, you can even enable scientist mode, which lets you, I don't know, like change 200 settings or something to fine-tune your CoinJoins. And recently he also built in discoverability of coordinators over Nostar. So then a small but nice plugin is the data erasure plugin. It basically lets you to scrub personal data from invoices. So some integrations, or maybe over the API, you put some user data on the invoices, but you want to make sure after a few weeks or months you want to delete it so that you have no honeypot of data lying around. Then the file seller plugin. So you can basically sell files to people. It will allow you to sell content or music or art. And yeah, it will create a download link after the payment that the users can use to get the items. Another big one is the payroll plugin. So it's done by our great uncle Rockstar. And he is in charge of our invoicing and stuff, so he thought it would be a great idea to automate all the stuff and make it as easy as possible for him to do all the invoicing stuff. And it's really nice because you can add users, you can enable, disable them, users are able to upload the invoices and receipts. And he can then review and approve the invoices. And what's also very nice, that you can just select the invoices you want to pay, and then you get the transaction with multiple outputs and can sign it. So this then just integrates into our normal wallet, where you can sign with BTCPay Server Vault, or you can create a BSBD, or yeah, if you have a hot wallet, which I not recommend, but you can also send it then from the hot wallet. Another one is Ticketailor. So like Baltic HoneyBadger has done this with Ticketailor, as far as I know. You can sell your tickets for events. And we also have lots of Lightning Wallet and Lightning Liquidity plugins. So what we used for the conference here is the Blink plugin. It was in charge of making sure all the payments went smooth, and it also hedged the volatility for the merchants and stable coin. Another one is Breeze. So with Breeze, you can run your own node, but it will act as an LSP and open a channel to you and make sure you have inbound liquidity. Then another one, another one is Strike, which is, if you followed the coverage on the Nashville conference, it was used there, and it is acting in a similar way like Blink and allows merchants to get fiat payouts in the end without liquidity, without volatility. Sorry, I jumped. But beside that, we also support LND Hub. So every other wallet that supports LND Hub, you can connect with a connection string to your Lightning wallet. So for example, Albion, SUS, or others. There's also a liquid network plugin. So with this you can accept LBTC, you can even accept liquid assets as payment, so most of the time it will be used as tokens or vouchers or something, but you can still make it work like that. And LUSD is also supported that way. And if you are, we are not that kind of people, but if you want to accept shitcoins, we also have plugins that will swap your shitcoins into Bitcoin for you for a small fee, and they are listed here. It's Fixed Float, Sideshift, and Trocador. But I hope you still are with me, and there is still more. And I will now show you some use case, like the use case of a merchant that wants to have fiat payouts. You can approach that in different ways with BTCPay Server, and I just want to show you in how many different ways you can make it work. So the first solution is you install the Strike plugin, you're set. They will pay out you in US dollar. You can define how much of a percentage you want to receive in US dollar. But it's for sure fully custodial and centralized. The next step would be maybe you want to use a custodial Lightning solution like Blink, and you can use the Bring-In plugin for payouts for SEPA accounts. So this is only working in the EU, but still Bring-In is like a bridge. They will get the Lightning funds to their service and convert it in real time into your SEPA account. It's still fully custodial, but maybe you think it's less risk because there are two services now involved, so the possibility to shut you down is maybe less. Then another solution is like you run your own Lightning node, but instead of managing channels, you integrate with an LSP like with Breeze, so they will handle the inbound liquidity for you, and you use again Bring-In for the payouts in euros. It's like self-custodial Lightning, but still, you depend on the LSP and also on Bring-In as off-ramp. And if you want to go like hardcore mode, you can run your own node, manage your own channels, and just use Bring-In as the off-ramp. But with all this, like you need to use, if you want to accept fiat payments, you likely need to use some KYC service to do so. So I just wanted to show you in how many ways you can use different plugins to achieve the same goal within BTCPay, and there are even more ways. So other use cases where you can combine different plugins to do great things. But there's more, and it's really short, so I will just quickly go through it. It's the announcement of announcement. We are working constantly on new stuff, and we have a few integrations in the pipeline that we will release soon. Some of them are pretty much finished, but need some final documentation and stuff, but they will be released in the next couple of days. So the first one is Odoo integration. So it works with Odoo 16 and 17, so the latest stable supported releases. And Odoo by itself is really their own ecosystem at this point. They started out as some ERP open source project, and they really now built in everything. Basically, you have CRM, you have email marketing, you can even do production planning, point of sale, they have restaurant management, and the great thing is we just did one payment solution for the e-commerce thing, and you can accept even Bitcoin with your point of sale. So that's great addition to our integration stack. Another one is Wix. So it's a closed platform again, but it's a very popular site builder you can use to easily create your web page and also online store. But the great thing with them is so they made it really open to integrate with them. So you can easily integrate in their payment flow, you can add your own payment method to it. And yeah, that's a good example compared to Shopify that they try to shut it down even more in the next couple of months, because the way we currently integrate in Shopify is deprecated, so we will need to find another hack to make it work for Shopify. And another one is BigCommerce. It's more like an enterprise e-commerce solution, but we are eager to see maybe if there are some bigger corporations start using that one. So they are kind of in between Shopify and Wix. They have some way you can integrate, but they don't allow you still to fully integrate. They make it really hard for you to integrate with them, but we still made it work like that. Another one that's not done by us, but the Bolts guys, they seem to be working on a liquidity swap plugin, and then you can accept Lightning payments with liquid swaps. You can see it already if you enable experimental plugins in your BTCPay Server policy, but I guess they will announce it when it's ready. And now there's no more, and I thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the lunch.
Thank you. And that concludes the first part of our program. Now we will go to eat, spend some time together, network and talk, and I'll see you here in 30 to 45 minutes. Just one small take. For all those taking pictures, make sure you just catch the stage. We don't want to dox anyone unintentionally. Yeah, and if people are in your photo, make sure they're from back or they're cut. We have 4 more exciting sessions, one including you, Connor, and then Abubakar and me. That's going to be great. Diana, no sessions for 2 of us, but, you know, we'll add it to the next program. However, to open up, I always talk about how our community is great, and to show that in practice, no, sir, no, don't leave. Sir, don't leave. You need to give me something. So that's how great our community is. And Dennis, like, help me with hammer. This is the present that I've got. So I just want to say thank you to the gentleman. I'll say thank you to him once he's back. Sorry, I gotta brag right away. Can you tell me, like, what's the inspiration for this?
Your beautiful self.
I'm smiling. No, man, thank you for this. And keep creating. Keep being yourself. Like, that's what it's all about. Creating technology that empowers our individual freedom. Thank you, man. And with that, we're giving it over to Dennis and Dstrukt.
Yes, please. Sir.
All right. Are we ready, Parker? Nice. So, do you guys remember when Nicolas earlier today talked about hungry Bitcoiners? Yes, you do. I can see it in your eyes. So just before lunch break, we wanted this situation to reach its climax. And that's why you've been waiting for ages for those pizzas. Sorry for that. It's not our fault, but it is how it is. But with that out of the way, my colleague Dstrukt and I will talk about a light topic after lunch break to cheer you up a bit. And we'll be talking about BTCPay 2.0. And you can see the working title right there. It's 7 years of technical debt. BTCPay turned 7 earlier. I think last week was, right? So. And this have been 7 years of tremendous fun working on an amazing open source project. Not because we are amazing, but you too make it amazing. And it's not as bad as it sounds. So of course there's technical debt, but throughout the years we took our time to also refactor code and do our fair share of improving the situation. Nevertheless, there's stuff to do which is a bit bigger than just a minor update. And so we thought after 7 years it might be time to ship a more major upgrade. And this talk will be about what's coming. So in the last year, we also recognized that there's another very important part of our user base, and this is what we call the ambassadors. Ambassadors in our mind are people who help us by running BTCPay servers for their community. So in a way, they can be seen as people who help their local communities by running a server so that not everyone has to set up BTCPay for themselves. And in that way, it can also be seen to be very efficient. And as we are currently just starting to explore this space and how we can grow BTCPay to cater to those needs, we foresee this to be a bigger topic for the next year as well. So it's not only this year as the year of ambassadors, but the next one as well.
Cool, yeah. So once again, thanks for coming to this. I think, we've said it numerous times, but we make it abundantly clear that you guys are why this matters and what's important. And I wanted to talk about our process and kind of highlight all of this happens because you guys give us feedback of what you need, what doesn't work, what's great, what sucks, the whole gamut. And just showing up here and talking about every little thing that you need, the businesses that you're trying to build, all of that is incredibly important. And I don't know if that's stressed enough, but especially for a small team of people, I thought it'd be good to, cycle back through what we've learned over the years of working, because a little bit of a reminder, we have many contributors around the world, but it is a small team of people who make this happen. And, more often than not, it's Dennis, Kukks, all of us working through pieces of things where it's like, this is broken, or this doesn't work, or this sucks. And it's great to hear that feedback. And we don't mind when, people are particularly critical of it, but it does help us prioritize what's actually important. And I'm going to keep going. I'll say next, but I want to go back.
Okay.
I think one of the big things is, at this stage, we kind of know what's important, and you guys have given us a clear indication. We see the world around us and what kind of things that we need, and a lot of that's been talked about earlier today. But I think that's the biggest thing that you can give us is just letting us know what works and what doesn't. And it's also important to iterate because we heard the other day that somebody thinks that there's a BTCPay CEO and in a similar way, who should I talk to about doing this? But we don't track anything. We have no analytics, corporate dashboards. We don't know who's running an instance. We find out things sometimes years later. The closest thing to tracking might be seeing the size of shirts increase over the years as you guys come to BTCPay. So with all of that, we weigh technical considerations and trade-offs for things, and we try to validate ideas really quickly and ship small solutions to do things. But I think a lot of times we're in a situation where we ship something, we think it's what you need, but if we don't get clear feedback that it sucks, or even if it's a good or bad thing, we don't always know what it is. So coming back to you and asking you, what's important. And even if it's filing an issue, a discussion, whatever it is, I really, really want to highlight that that helps us tremendously. And yeah, basically from there, you'll see, and I wanted to just highlight this because maybe it helps frame all the features and things that we're going to show you after that we've worked on that take a lot of time to do. And yeah, we iterate based on this feedback and we refine those assumptions that we start with, and you know, yeah, we make it work.
All right. So there's a lot coming in 2.0, and having this as a major version also already hints at that there might be even breaking stuff. But we've been very busy throughout the last month, and we hope that Christmas doesn't need to be cancelled this year as well. So we intend to ship 2.0 before the end of the year. And
Just promised something that
I hope
it's on record.
I hope we can keep that. Okay, seeing our old or named legacy version of the checkout out in the wild still gives me a hard time. So we decided with 2.0 to also pull the plug on that legacy version, and 2.0. It gives you all the customizability options, NFC is in there and so on. You should be using that from there on. Yeah, and it seems like it was the GIF that really killed that slide.
Wow.
Okay, so as I talked about customizability, this is also a very important aspect we've come across, and which we've also improved throughout the last month. Or the last months, to especially cater to the needs of ambassadors. Because if you are going through the trouble of running an instance for many other users, you might want to give them an impression of what your brand is like, or you want to make them feel at home. And so for this, we not even just implemented stuff to customize the branding of the server, but also on the store level, you can change colors, upload your own logos, and so on. And I think this, gives a nice touch to make BTCPay your own.
Yeah, I mean, other things that are just kind of basic things is for the people who've used BTCPay over the years, sometimes the navigation could be kind of difficult, and you might find yourself in positions where you don't know how you got there. And you know, a big change in the past was, you know, something as simple as a sidebar, and now we're loading more things into that, and hopefully using it in an effective way. So this is the kind of thing where, like, if you guys do like this kind of thing, or don't like it, or find it hard to use, or whatever, this is the kind of thing where you can, you know, come share and come talk to us about this, because, you know, we get feedback and we work on that and we try to make it the best that we can, but unless we hear anything contradictory to that, we don't know what you like or what you don't like. So yeah, please keep this in mind. Another thing that we've added is store management. A lot of people have asked for this, and basically the ability to manage the store as well. So I guess as a server owner, you will have full control over that, and that is somewhat of a controversial thing, I think, for people. But it is something that has been requested by quite a few people, because right now it's view only, so you can see the users that you have, and you can see the number of instances have stores on it. And you know, for who was it that had, you know, over 450? I'm trying to remember the name at the moment.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Bitcoin Jungle. Yeah, this would be an absolutely insane page to view, and you know, I think it makes that process a little bit easier. And I think it's the beginnings of starting to build out, you know, a very powerful base for what one instance can be, and you know, you could scale it to, you know, a huge number of instances. But yeah, that the manage functionality is controversial, so give us your thoughts, and whether it's now or later, would you want your instance provider to have that kind of power?
All right, but it's not just the UI. We've also been busy working on our API. You might know the Greenfield API already. This is what gets used in almost every integration. For instance, the WooCommerce one. And judging by the features that have been added throughout the last weeks, for instance, file uploads, managed notifications, sales statistics, and so on, we're also already hinting at that we are using this to dog food the upcoming BTCPay app as well, but you'll learn more about that later today. Okay, and especially on the wallet side, there are some very important improvements coming up. BTCPay didn't support RBF until lately, and so Nicolas has been working on RBF support, which is finally coming to BTCPay. Under the hood, we made the payment methods way more flexible, and this might seem like a smaller thing, but this is one of the major parts or motivation behind BTCPay Server 2.0, because it'll allow us to do a lot of stuff. For instance, to also remove shitcoins from core and enable shitcoin support externally, so that we are catering to those who still criticize BTCPay Server because there's an altcoin supporting version. And with this, we are getting rid of all the shitcoins finally from the core code base, and yeah, still not leave everyone from the altcoin communities in the dark, and they can do plugins then. Okay, and finally also the multi-sig situation will be improved, and we'll update our interfaces and APIs for that as well. And this, to me personally, is one of the major things that's coming, because ambassadors don't just run BTCPay Server instances in English-speaking countries, and that's why localization was a feature which has been asked for years by now. And with 2.0, BTCPay will be available in every language, in toutes les langues, as the French say, and I don't know how it's in Japanese, but this is for Nicolas, who implemented this localization feature.
Finally, one of the bigger additions that I think it's been mentioned that he couldn't make it because of visa troubles, but Tobes is a contributor that we now have that's very new, is helping work on what will be an updated plugin store. And in many ways, this is going to help make discoverability a little bit easier, and managing will be separated so that the delineation of those things is just a little bit clearer. We're working on trying to improve the addition process, potentially reviews and ratings. We're still kind of working through that, but we don't know how difficult that will be or how much will be required of us, because I don't know that anybody wants to sift through all of that and maintain that. But yeah, we're trying to, again, enable optionality. I know you've heard that a couple times today, but I think it is really important to us that you can make BTCPay Server your own, and whether that's extending it to do something that you think is the right way, we're all for that. So this is, trying to put love into that view and make it just a little bit simpler to do that. So, yeah, 2.0 is coming. Things are going to break, and please let us know.
Hashtag 2 weeks, or maybe even 2 months. So, thank you all for listening to this, and
yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah.
And if not, round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. And now, as I asked in the intro, there's around 50% of you that watched BTCPay Server documentary. The other 50% promised to me by nodding with your hands that you will watch it. Look at that, gentlemen. Yeah? Okay. So to talk more about all of that and creation of My Trust in You is Broken, Webworthy Parker, thank you, man. Take it.
Thank you so much, Uncle. Thank you everyone so much for coming today. I'm so happy how many of you here have watched us today, and this is going to be the least technical talk of the afternoon, so I hope you enjoy it. And please, this is for anyone here who's a content creator, a media person, or even more importantly, if you have a project that you work on or your own project you care about. This is a little bit about how do you tell a story about what you're doing as opposed to just making another video or another podcast that, you know, maybe 50 of us will watch. Hopefully, how do you get to that 50K or 25K or whatever number matters to you that you hope people will see. So, my name is Parker Worthington. I made My Trust in You is Broken. And when you start telling a story, you don't want to write someone else's story. You want to write a story or something that you lived personally. I was an angry Bitcoiner in 2014 and 2015 that kind of became this pleb movement. Who were these angry maxis? Because these douchebags were trying to say they run Bitcoin and change the protocol in their own direction. So I lived through this and just felt so sad that someone has to do something. There's got to be people out there like me that care about this. And these are real Bitcoin developers, not these companies that say they are Bitcoin. And there was that group. Woo! These people here, all of us. So many of us were sitting either alone or trying to figure out some false project that just couldn't get funding. And all of a sudden, this man, Nicolas Dorier, was a lightning rod in Rockstar too. It has been unbelievable what OpenStax and Spiral has done for us to keep this movement going and really get them back and take back for Bitcoin for what it is for us. Let's see. Now this whole time as I was living through this, as a Bitcoiner living through this time, there was so much recorded media, even if I never got to meet my heroes, the BTCPay team, I knew there was a story to tell just by downloading and recording all this media that we had filmed over the last 6 years of Bitcoin's development. So even without ever shooting any second of video with the team, there was already a movie to make, and I was going to make that. And so I started contributing. But first I started making as a homepage animation. If anyone remembers that 2015, 2016 time, for any new project, you had to have some homepage animation. And this is how I first got involved with BTCPay Server. They made a crowdfund for me and raised half a Bitcoin, and it changed my life in 2 weeks. And at the time, half a Bitcoin was like $2,000, and I was off the races from there. It was such a huge thing for me to have that and have the support from BTCPay Server. Other than that, I've been making technical videos that I didn't quite feel like they weren't getting tons of views, and I wasn't this extremely technical person, so I couldn't find what really made sense to make the YouTube channel a little bit bigger and bring some video of my past to this. So for BTCPay Day in 2022, I made a little 2-minute video that was just telling the history of the 5 years of BTCPay Server. And I did a little bit different style. I went a little darker. And I used this style of music called funk. I don't know if anyone's familiar, but those two together changed how I made stuff after that. There was a hard grit to BTCPay Server. It took me a long time to find what was the right tone for that. And the movie, and hopefully the presentation, explain that. So from there, I was making ambassador content and case studies, and if anyone saw the bolt card animation for Nashville, I actually just heard a little pain right now. This was the darker style I kind of landed on. And in this time, as I'm working on this stuff, I'm also starting to shoot My Trust in You is Broken. If you heard that sound, I made all of the payment sounds. And it was just something we found we needed after we noticed people who were selling drinks oh wait, it's hard to tell what's actually happening unless I hear that confirmation. So much of these slides and what we'll see from here was just kind of happening to me, and I was learning, and we're all learning as we're going. So what in hindsight looked very, very specific choices were so much accidental, being very prepared for what was going to happen, but not knowing what was going to come next. So my past life, I was a video guy. I've been a video person since I was 12, and it got to the point that I was working in agencies and startups and was trying to fight off different agency bids and found myself in places I never could have imagined. But does anyone recognize the guy on the left, this guy Ryan Lochte? Anybody remember this American swimmer that went to Russia and made an ass of himself? Well, one American here, thank you. I spent weeks preparing all this shipping gear there, planning the shoot, so much stuff. And right when we go to release it, he becomes the national headline of a complete joke. And everything I had done for months was just shot out the window in one tweet. So I was so sick of that fiat life. And being a Bitcoiner this whole time, I was like, how the fuck do I get into Bitcoin and just be that person? You start a podcast, you do content, sure, you do all this stuff, but there is another layer above that. How do you tell a story about something people really care about? So I started. And this bottom right shot is the first shot that I took with Rockstar, shooting an interview with him in Miami in 2023. And I told myself, if I came back to shooting video, sorry, the slide before, COVID happened, I was renting out that camera, and I sold everything 2 weeks into COVID because I was so worried that New York City and the rental market was going to come back, and it didn't come back for a year and a half. So I said, if I'm going to come back to shooting video, I'm going to buy a tote bag that I like, and everything that I film that day or shoot should fit in that bag. I don't want all this insane mental overhead of all this gear. I want something I can shoot lightly and be a part of the story that I'm telling. Or even if I'm not in it, just have a light gear that I can just drop at any time to start filming or telling the story. And that was shooting BTCPay Server. So this was the first shots that I got with Rockstar. At the time, I was nervous to message him. This was still like this is early on. And I've been a contributor to BTCPay Server since 2019, but we're all in such different places. We only really get to spend once a year together, or like, it's very distant. So this was huge for me to get to meet my hero Rockstar, and I was worried maybe I'd only get like a minute with him and not really get to shoot that much. And he was so excited to keep filming and so happy. And I have to thank you so much for wanting to do this and keep me going as this was happening.
No, thank you for telling our story, not just mine, but that of all contributors and Emperor. Thank you, Parker. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So this was Miami, and Miami was so much fun, of course. We had to keep going. I live in New York City, so I got to shoot. If anybody saw the Bitcoin logo hanging on the New York Bull, that was me filming and Crypto Cloaks printed, and another guy who does recycling for sats in New York City hung it up, and we might cut that part of the video because that was the one illegal part. And then I was down to Prague, Riga last year. Riga last year was the first time we did this Bitcoinized setup at a Bitcoin conference, and it worked so well, it's kept going to all the way till today. And we did the same thing in Tokyo, and I went to Ozante and filmed Bitcoin Smiles in Riga, and he is just incredible. If you really want to know what's happening in Ozante, he is definitely the man to talk to. He's El Salvadorian, he's lived there for his whole life, and is a part of seeing what works with Bitcoin there and what doesn't work with Bitcoin there. So if you want to have a real honest take, he's the man to talk to. And then of course, that was what ended up being the end of the movie, and I have to apologize to Marseille and Kukks and all of them. They didn't know that was going to be the ending, but the way and the partying and everything that happened there, it just was a perfect way to finish the movie. And more importantly, in the last BTCPay Server, 2023 was the first time I ever spoke publicly. And somebody from Bitcoin Film Festival was here and said, please bring the movie. So this kind of was aligning with like, this is the last stuff I can fit in before that. So this is the whole timeline of the movie. I started at the top left was beginning editing it. And I've made 5-hour pre-recorded live streams where you can have 30 minutes of someone easily talking, but keeping somebody engaged for 42 minutes, there is a very, very special film language of pacing that matters, that makes it not a pre-recorded stream or just a long video. There's a very specific way of editing that. So I was living for probably 3 months, 30 seconds at a time. Everyone was like, God, if I get under 10 seconds, I can sleep tonight. We got 30, oh, I'm sleeping good tonight. This is great. So while that was happening, I was also making all the little videos that were kind of promoting what we were doing with all these POS setups, Bitcoinized setup, and Rockstar was really, really blowing this thing up. In these 3 tweets here, this is over 300,000 views, and we didn't pay for any of them. This was just us and you guys, the community, sharing this, and Rockstar, you put it up in such a high place that I was so happy to live up to, hopefully.
You definitely did. I mean, I'm sure everyone else in the audience agrees.
And these are more tweets of just people sharing it. It became such a thing just that the movie was coming out, and people felt like me all the way back then, like, God, we did this, and it felt like in 2016 there wasn't other Bitcoiners out there like us. So it's just amazing how much we have taken it back and feel like their corporate Bitcoining part is such a small fraction of what Bitcoin is today. So we took the movie to Bitcoin Film Festival. Me and Rockstar had the best time. It was so much fun. Technically, it didn't play too well there, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it happens. And it got me really excited for the next thing. It won the audience award, and how the audience award was done was people voted with their sats for whichever movie they really liked. People were happy, or we were happy how it went, but some people weren't super happy that it was a kind of pay-to-win strategy. You could really just kind of spend a lot of money and kind of win. That went somewhere that I think you guys will like. I flew Enrique to New York City for the premiere in New York, and he had the best time. It was so much fun. So if anyone here donated to that, how Enrique came to the New York premiere was through your sats that you donated. So thank you so much. Those are my daughters. We had so much fun. And this is from the New York screening. We ran out the IFC theater. I cannot believe it worked out as well as it did. It was so much fun, played incredible, and it was in partnership with PubKey, so we all drank and ate in the park before eating pizzas and trolling Coinbase. Watched the movie, then went back to PubKey and got drunk, and it was one of the best days of my life. It was so much fun. So, just a little tell you about what the ticket sales were. This is in the bottom right. TJ Miller came. I could not believe it, and he actually watched it and understood it, and it's unbelievable. So, we had 60 seats total. 36 were sold, 24 reserved, and 21 per ticket. To me, it was the first ever Bitcoin-only movie screening in New York. Now, 36 sold isn't crazy, and I probably should have charged about 10 times what I did, but that wasn't the point. I did not need to make any money back. I just wanted this to play well in a place that I lived and could bring a lot of my friends and have a ton of Bitcoiners there too. It was amazing. Woo! So this is the painful part. It's a little revealing. Ticket sales, total sold. Sold 756. Theater cost 3,600. The testing alone costed $500. But damn it, it was worth it. Every cent sold for it.
Have fun staying poor.
We live for that. So I use Voltage.io and Ellen Big for the liquidity. It was a pretty simple setup. Was anyone there that day by any chance? Other than Rockstar? Okay, we won't explain how badly I did the tickets. We won't worry about that. So, what did that money go to? Why do I feel like I'm not out? I'm not looking for donations to pay that in. What that cost bought me was this partnership with PubKey. They wanted to host us and do this with us, but creating a moment and something for all of us to hang something on that pizza day, it was like just layer after layer of stuff. Oh, TJ's gonna come? Okay, sure. That's not gonna happen. He comes, films all day with me in Rockstar. I couldn't believe it. And it was the first time I really became, or not the first time, the most bullish I've ever been on Nostr was that day because my Twitter account broke. They throttled that thing. Somebody did not want that to be out there. If I had to guess, it was probably Coinbase paying somebody, or someone's at Coinbase marketing was also X, because I was banned. My account, nothing worked that whole afternoon. So I think those numbers are really low because the thing was like, I had never experienced what an influencer may feel, just your phone just not working. We released the public link to the movie the same day of the New York premiere. And so all of that excitement of the day, all the Coinbase trolling was all to have everyone lead some links to the movie being public. And I've had so many people come up to me and say, man, I was sad to not be in New York, but it was cool that it went live at the same time. And that was exactly the plan, was that we wanted to have all this excitement and then that happened all together at the same time. So why did I choose YouTube at all? The auto translation is unbelievable. And sure, I'm worried about being censored or whatever they may take down. We'll host it otherwise. And it's supposed to be on the Pirate Bay too. It's crazy, if you give people a file to host on the Pirate Bay, it probably won't get there. But if you give them a file and say, don't host this, it'll probably be there. So if it gets taken down, you'll see it there. But this has been translated to Spanish, Japanese, Portuguese, German, French, Italian, and I only uploaded one caption file that just had all the text in there, and all this was auto-translated. And what was so special about that was Pavlinex's mom and dad were able to watch it right when it came out and not wait for a Serbian translation. As we know with Bitcoiners, that one person may affect 1,000 or 100 or even just another person. So to me, every view counts, and I didn't put on there how much of it they watched, so we'll say they watched all of it. So once it was public, people were free to do whatever they wanted with it. They could screen it anywhere, and for a couple places that were also screening it right around when it was coming public, I sent the file out to a couple people. This was Paralellopolis in Prague, Serbia, the Hub 21 of Pav and John Sperry's project, Free Madeira. This middle one was in Miami. The one on the left, I think, is just someone's house or something. I'm not quite sure. But it was unbelievable. People were just doing their own screenings, and it was so fun to see all these posts and what was happening. So, what's next? We have Bitcoin 2024, Rockstar, Michael Merkel, Strike work together to do all the POS in Nashville. So people have been asking me what's coming out next, and it turns out it is this Bitcoin 2024 Nashville documentary. I spent about a week and a half with Rockstar and Michael Merkel filming this whole setup, and it is incredible what they went through to get that to work there. And almost always, it's not the app isn't working or BTCPay Server is having problems or Strike couldn't give us liquidity. It's always the environment and the regulatory situation we're in, or some SIM cards, Rockstar, SIM cards, you have no idea how hard it is to get SIM cards in America. Or it's just so many strange connectivity things that you wouldn't think would be the thing that hold you back from doing this whole payment setup, but it's really just the environment you're in, less of the tools you're using. So these are some pictures from that. I have an hour-long sequence now that it's still going to be an hour and a half. I haven't even got to the conference days yet. There was so much time spent setting up. That'll probably be about a 45-minute documentary, hopefully coming out, 2 weeks. And then today, this is going to be the first time that all the talks have been recorded. There's been 5 years of BTCPay days, but we haven't been able to share all the talks with them afterwards. So this is the first time that we're going to do that, so look for all these videos hosted if you want to share them with anybody who wasn't here today. And next after that, also Enrique in El Salvador. I shot so much with him and had an incredible week with him that I probably only used 2 minutes of it, and I probably have another 30 minutes story just on him and his life there. And I'm going to go see him in November and hopefully shoot some more with him, so maybe that'll be after the Nashville 2 weeks. And then furthermore is app promo videos. Dennis was so kind. When the first 3D render I made of BTCPay Server, he's like, I sent that to my parents. I finally work on a real project. Or at least looked like some commercial something. So we need to do more of that. BTCPay 2.0 and the app need to look like commercial things without the company behind it. So I look forward to making more renders, because I have so much fun making these in my apartment. As much as I love filming and seeing all of you, I am a little burnt out traveling, so I'm going to try and focus on this stuff for a while. And furthermore, the BTCPay feature videos, this is kind of what I started doing the YouTube channel that I need to come back to so badly. I read your comments, like, can someone please just do this and sit there and explain it simpler for an hour? And yes, we heard your comments, we will do that, and we're trying to be better about that. Because we have a lot of new stuff coming and so much to explain that sometimes we don't explain enough of. So we definitely hear you there, and we'll do a better job of that. And after that is ambassador adoption. I didn't know Matt Odell the first time he spoke publicly was at BTCPay Day, and same for me. So any of you here that are just here today to meet people, or you're just a humble pleb that want to do more, please join us in our Mattermost. If you have a business you want to flip over, or a country you want to put on a SaaS standard, please find us at BTCPay Ambassadors in 2024. Chat.btcpayserver.org. Anybody can join there, and we want to help you and hear feedback. And if you're an interesting place, like, I want to tell your story and help you share your story further. So that's everything from me today. Thank you so much for I think we have a panel coming up next that wants to come.
No, thank you, Parker. This is the talk with the most applause. Whoever was cheerleading, thank you. Who is that? Raise your hand. No, okay.
Actually, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to give you a signal so you should clap for me, but yeah.
Before we go, any questions or anything?
Yeah.
Even better. Oh, right here.
Hello. So you told about this experience in Asheville, and I wanted to know that what was the hardest thing there?
Hardest thing there was the Wi-Fi setup. The conference, it's never Bitcoin. It's very rare. Sometimes it can be a liquidity provider. Usually it's just the Wi-Fi connectivity, which is why we're so bullish on these bolt cards. We love them so much because you don't need that Wi-Fi. And we've had actually this weekend, some things went down, but the bolt cards kept working. So it was the Wi-Fi. It was just
yeah, definitely. It was the Wi-Fi and the fact that there were so many merchants to set up. Plus, there was all craziness around Trump. So that was the focus, because people were buying $600 tickets just to come and hear Trump speak live. Yeah, funny phrase. But yeah, at the end, it was very boring talk. I guess we would all agree. But that's where the focus was, and then a lot of volume then didn't get captured because we didn't have point of sales with those merchants. And then on these Android devices, your 2.4G gigahertz network is really slow. So those two definitely the biggest problems.
It was amazing how many merchants you guys did. How many was it?
It was like more than 40. It was also, some merchants had multiple devices. But you have the shot of me and Michael setting up devices. Yeah? Any more questions? Oh, all the way in the back. Let's go.
What have your non-Bitcoiner creator friends thought about your content creation?
DC, that's a good question. Man, I came back from Prague and told my buddies I just got to interview one of my heroes, Nicolas Dorier. Let me show you this interview. It was in a cool spot, whatever. I play it for them, and about 2 minutes in, I'm like, I think he has a booger in his nose. Fuck. So I spent a week worried about, I'm gonna paint out every frame that I use. I'm only gonna show his face so much, I can probably paint out that stuff. Or do I go to Tokyo, go reshoot it? I show it to any Bitcoiner and they go, that was sick, I love him. They never mentioned a booger. And I showed it to Rockstar, I was like, oh, that's just a thing in his nose, dude.
Yeah, well now everyone in the audience, they will see the booger.
So, easier said. When people know what they're looking at, it means so much. But to my friends, it's still just a little confusing. I've flipped over a couple hardcore Bitcoiners on my friends, but it's tough.
The last question, if there are any. And if not, one more applause for the most supportive chat team.
Thank you.
Now
yeah, happy to be here and looking forward to this talk.
Pleasure having you here, Connor. Abubakar?
Hi, my name is Abubakar. I'm an Indian Bitcoin Core contributor. I also am the interim CEO and board member of BTrust, which is a not-for-profit that actually provides grants, mostly in the global south, specifically focused in Africa, as well as training program called BTrust Builders, where we train African developers to become Bitcoin developers. I'm really happy to see that Tobechi, who was a recent grantee actually from BTrust, contributing to BTCPay Server for the version 2. So glad to see that. And other than that, I'm happy to be at another BTCPay Day. Great work, guys. Good work, guys.
Thank you, man. And Alex?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Lee. I'm the Bitcoin Development Lead at the Human Rights Foundation. At the Human Rights Foundation, we're a nonprofit that promotes human rights in authoritarian regimes. One of the initiatives we have is the Bitcoin Development Fund, where we support freedom technology with the focus on Bitcoin and Nostr developers, educators, activists, and communities, trying to make the world free, better, and getting rid of authoritarian regimes.
Well, applause for that and for all panelists. Because I always bring up to people whenever they talk to me about funding their work, their initiatives, stuff they do, I try to explain that raising money and then distributing that money, it's a skill. And you three, you help a lot with that. What are some of the most common problems and issues and roadblocks that you run into when you even want to fund someone but something is missing? Like, what is the advice you give them? How do you direct them towards properly funding their work and then doing it for the long run? Connor, you saw a lot of projects. Like, what are the common threads?
So, yeah, I mean, we're focused on a few areas. So we want to see improvements in security, decentralization, privacy, UX. So typically we look for projects and proposals that are trying to help the ecosystem in one of those pillars. But I don't know, I feel like advice I'd give to people who wanted to get involved in free open source Bitcoin is to just start contributing. I think a lot of people don't kind of take that for granted, and it's easier said than done if you're already working a 9 to 5 and hours are slim. It can be a bit difficult, but most of us at the Spiral team, we started off in Bitcoin free open source, just contributing, just volunteering, and we've eventually found ourselves in roles where we can work full time on Bitcoin and get paid to do such. But I would say contributing is like the number one first thing. Obviously developing your software engineering skills, design skills, PMing skills is important. And developing a strong Bitcoin ethos, because oftentimes you might have very skilled people in their craft, software engineering, design, whatever it might be, but don't necessarily have the strong Bitcoin ethos, and the vice versa is also true. So trying to identify that and see where that person's at in their journey, and help guide them, whether it's a grant is not quite right for you now because you don't have the necessary skills, or you do have the necessary skills and you have a strong Bitcoin ethos, then it puts you in a better position to speak to people who are offering grants and things of that nature. I would also say, kind of a side note, is that probably a lot of people wanting to come and work on Bitcoin, or no, I'd say that there's a lot of people who aren't aware of having a career in free open source Bitcoin. Like, we're competing with a lot of ecosystems with a lot more money than us, and so I don't think there's as many people queuing around the corner to come and work on free open source Bitcoin. So I think we can do a bit more to help people understand there is funding over here. You can establish a career for yourself, and make it known that there's a wide array and a big ecosystem of projects that you can work on in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and if I can summarize your answer, yeah, it's all about proof of work, but it must be not proof of work evaluated by yourself, but you should involve other people that will be honest with you and tell you if
you truly what you think that you have is proof of work that stands. And then second one, I have personally witnessed some of the people that applied to Spiral got rejected. And then you took time to actually tell those people, like, this is what's missing, this is what's missing, this is what can be improved, or like apply elsewhere. And you directed people, and man, I know from my side, I really appreciate you've done that.
And it's not always just us making decisions in that. Like sometimes we get a proposal about a new technical improvement to Bitcoin, and I personally might not have the expertise to know whether it's the right path to go down. I would lean on like the likes of, we do have a full-time team of engineers, Mike Carallo and the likes, who have a bit more experience. But even then, we like to see someone who's posted to the Bitcoin mailing list or delve in Bitcoin and got a wider community consensus. It's not just about Spiral deciding, you know, we should double down on promoting this protocol or whatever. We do want to see the wider Bitcoin community show an interest in it as well.
Great. Well, Abubakar?
Is this on?
No, it is, but yeah, that's for Parker.
It's a similar situation, I think. So first and foremost, for context, with BTrust, the idea is to decentralize Bitcoin development in general. So the idea is giving out funding to developers that are in parts of the world where Bitcoin development is not as common as other parts. So a core key thesis for us is identifying things that we feel developers need to be working on from that part of the world, which is mainly around Bitcoin's resiliency and things like that. So even with the recent round of grants, a lot of those went to things like working on the mempool, things like working on silent payments. And the one thing is the criteria that we have with regards to how we give out the grants, and we work it out into two ways, so starter grants and then long-term grants. The starter grant, typically the main thing that we tend to advise people is that we get a lot of people that are from the general ecosystem or just generally are Bitcoin developers that are on the ground. Make sure that they have sufficient proof of work for the proposals that they're giving. Because sometimes we get proposals where clearly this person has a lot of proof of work, but is not necessarily on Bitcoin Core. So maybe something like Calle or maybe BTCPay Server. So for us, the feedback is, why don't you continue work on that? You already have experience with that. Because the thing with open source development is there's a general open source, especially with Bitcoin, culture, and then there's subcultures within that. So it's good for folks to contribute, not only because to show you proof of work, but also to make sure that they understand the culture within that project. That way they can effectively navigate it, learn how to talk. Some cultures are a lot more direct than others, to say the least. So being comfortable with that, and honestly, other than that, is making sure that they're confident enough to ask questions, regardless of whether they feel is smart or dumb. But the truth is, most Bitcoiners are excited to see that others are excited about what they're working on. So the chances are they're more open to actually answering your question. And just keeping that good group of people that'll keep you accountable as well has been very useful, other than obviously mentorship, which we pair with all our grants.
Alex?
I echo what Abubakar and Connor said. It's very important to have proof of work. It's very important to have something you can show to people to see continual progress, to contribute to free and open source software, to have a good ethos in your work. To add upon those comments, I'd like to just say, be the change you want to see in the world. Oftentimes when I'm browsing Nostr or Bitcoin Twitter, people are like, why doesn't my favorite wallet or favorite free and open source software have X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D feature? Like, why doesn't it support, this advanced new experimental thing, or that advanced experimental thing, or this coin or that coin, or this language, that language? I'm like, and my initial reaction is, that's a great idea. Why don't you go and build it? It's free and open source. Fork the GitHub repo, make a copy, build upon it, contribute to it yourself. But you really want to have a decentralized and committed group of people contributing to free and open source. We don't want to get into the mindset where you just, send emails to OpenSat, Spiral, and Href, be like, I really want you guys to fund X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and if you guys don't fund it, you're killing Bitcoin and everything's going to fall apart. My initial reaction to that is just, we shouldn't be going to centralized entities to beg for funding. Obviously we exist and we give out a lot of grants, we give out a lot of money, and we try to do our best to support free and open source, but in the long term, we really want to see, or Href and I really want to see, a decentralized, committed, large group of people working on free and open source sustainably, right? Where people are getting long-term support, people are getting zaps and donations daily, monthly, maybe even by the minute. And yeah, we have where we have an ethos where if you want something, you just build it and you get it done.
Yeah, and what I find also is that a lot of people don't realize that those resources are available. Maybe they do realize, but it's like how to access them, because you look at situation in some other ecosystems like Ethereum. Recently it came out that they're selling $100 million worth of Ethereum every year to fund development. Yeah, it is, but but the thing is, like Alex, it's okay to disclose like HRF in last year, like Connor said, Spiral in total has given over $10 million. Like HRF has given kind of substantial amount.
We've given out over 200 grants, on track to give out roughly $2 million each year in grants. So we can do our best to give out as much money as we can.
No, and you support a lot of projects, a lot of individuals, and some things just wouldn't happen if you weren't funding technology. One of my favorite deployments of BTCPay Server was for Feminist Coalition in Nigeria. That it's okay to dox you. I already did, right, online. You ever got upset for that? No? Okay. Because you're the one to set up the instance.
I was not the one who personally set up the instance.
Okay. How did that happen? Can you tell us about it a little bit?
I actually don't know much of the backstory of it because it was 2020, and I actually give a lot of the credit to Jack for retweeting it and spreading attention.
Because to set the context, can you set the context? There was like SARS was the special
anti-robbery squad.
Yeah, and in Nigeria, Abubakar, maybe you can give us a little.
I mean, a lot of it was the SARS, which was basically like it was a part of essentially the police in Nigeria, and they were notorious for going after young folks typically, kind of harass them, make sure they get their money, all that. So there was already that anxiety that a lot of people had, and then things started to escalate really quickly to the point where people were protesting that the government should just have this part of the police really locked up, or at least not part of the police force. I mean, it was successful. They actually didn't, they dissolved that whole, later replaced it with a different name. That's a whole other story, but at least it worked for the aims that they were trying to achieve. So yeah, they set up using Bitcoin because all their accounts were essentially frozen. All the folks that were actually at the forefront of the protest, all the way up to being on travel ban lists and things like that. So it was a case where for one of the first few instances where a lot of people realized that, oh wow, Bitcoin is actually useful, not necessarily for just protests or unrest, but as an alternative when shit hits the fan and governments are able to shut down your accounts. So it was, I think, the first movement we saw where people started understanding the use cases with regards to Bitcoin. So I credit them to both getting the aims as well as putting Bitcoin on grid.
No, for me it was surreal that the software I contributed code to was used to raise close to $2 million, like around $2 million. Yeah, and Dorsey also helped a lot by reposting and donating. And it's all about, like, it really clicked for me. It's hey, I am coding for my own individual freedom, but this code can be used to help others' individual freedom and, fortifying it.
Just to clarify, I was not the one who set up the BTCPay. Not sure if anyone got that impression, but yeah, I just also want to give a shout out to Spiral for supporting BTCPay as early as, if I remember correctly, September 2019. So
yes, exactly.
Very early support. HRF started supporting BTCPay Server in 2022, so we were a bit later in the game. So just wanted to give a shout out to Connor and Spiral and his team.
Thank you, Connor, for that. Yeah.
Well,
still, when we look into the near future, and this doesn't need to be related to BTCPay, but what are you most excited about when it comes to BTCPay and then a broader Bitcoin and maybe even Nostr ecosystem?
BTCPay, I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, because there's a...
Say it. It will be a good announcement for...
The announcement after this, I think it's going to be announced after this, so maybe I should spill too many beans. But I don't know, I'm excited to see BTCPay be distributed in an environment that is a lot more easier for people to use on the go and in the mobile context. So let's just say that, I think you'll learn more about it after this. I'd say that the wider Bitcoin ecosystem, I don't know, it's a tough one. I feel like, because I see so many different projects, I just see how everything's kind of coming together and fitting together. You're seeing stuff happening in Lightning. There's been a lot of like, I don't know, FUD around Lightning recently and it not living up to the expectations that we'd hope. And a lot of that I do actually agree with. But I also, on the flip side, see it being or representing the A+ solution for interoperability for all of the rest of the ecosystem. Everything from eCash and federated mints and Cashew to side chains to zero knowledge proofs to on-chain to Lightning itself. It really represents the glue between all of that ecosystem. And then Lightning natively, there's a lot of things happening that are going to enable people to have a more seamless experience in mobile environments that don't require them to do channel management, don't require them to worry about inbound liquidity, and get us closer to an experience that is very Visa or MasterCard-like. These things take time. There are people building them. We know what the challenges are, and people are actively building them. Even stuff like offline receive. All of these things are under construction, and they will help us scale a few magnitudes more than what we have now. So I'm really excited about that. And what else? Yeah, everything from software development kits, BDK. If you're not familiar with that, that's a software development kit aimed at making on-chain implementation and on-chain features more easily implementable in wallets and things of that nature. They just released a 1.0, and I expect wallets to adopt that and make it much easier for builders to create a Bitcoin application over a weekend, in a week, as opposed to prior to these software development kits being available. You'd have to know very detailed things about the protocol to create any type of decent application. So there's a lot going on, man. Like I'm like, as someone who has a front view or a front seat of all of the things happening, I find it very difficult to remain bearish on Bitcoin and what's happening. To be honest, I think if anyone is, they should definitely pay attention to what's happening in free open source Bitcoin, and you realize like the roadmap of all of these projects is very positive. There's a lot of people building, there's a lot of things coming together and interoperating with each other in ways that we can't even imagine. And then you add on Nostr on top of that, which I've not even had time to study and understand properly, but everyone here seems to be really excited about it. And so you add adjacent technology like that into the mix, and yeah, who knows where we're going to be in the next 4 or 5 years.
Optimistic for the future. I love it. Abubakar?
Yeah, it's a lot of that really. I think what I'm most excited about is a couple of things. So firstly is, initially from the outside, obviously having been involved in some of the projects, it seems there was a lot of experimentation away so as not to hurt the core infrastructure of Bitcoin. And now it seems a lot of the experimentation is inward. It's coming back and being pulled, like to Connor's point, around interoperability between different implementations of SDKs, for example, where you have a situation where, for example, if you want to build a mobile wallet now that has both on-chain and Lightning, you can swap out LDK, you can bring in BDK for context as Bitcoin development kit, the Lightning development kit, all the way up to the Breeze SDK, for example. And all of these implementations have a very, very good way in which they interact so as not to affect the usability of the overall application we're trying to build. I think a lot of that is very, very bullish because, again, previous years, and the reason why a lot of wallets have been the way they are in terms of like UX is because it hasn't necessarily been an easy way to build wallets without necessarily re-implementing everything from scratch. So a lot of these things get you functionality from day one, and you're able to maintain the usability and still increase some of the capacity or capability of the application from like LNURL to bolt rings and all that. So I think that's very interesting. Another thing I would say is we've had a lot of complaints around privacy in general in the Bitcoin space, and I think now more than ever, we have to be a lot more serious. And I like the fact that a lot of people are starting to realize that on the dev side. So we've seen a resurgence in privacy tech, which is very, very beneficial because the more we bring on a critical mass, or at least before we get to that critical mass, we need to make sure that the base rails and the base infrastructure has privacy from day one. I like to give the analogy of nobody thinks about essentially a seatbelt when they're riding a car. It's just assumed that there's that safety feature. The same way you should be thinking about how good is the privacy tech at the base layer or at the wallet layer. So I think a lot of that has to do with making sure that developers have that focus in mind when building, regardless of what part of the layer. Another thing that I would say is, in regards to all this experimentation, what's most exciting is all of it is happening within another common layer, which is the Lightning Network. So we have not only things that are being built on-chain with regards to Bitcoin Core in general and some of the infrastructure around that. At the second layer, with regards to Lightning, we're seeing all those other things that are previously experimented on that are now resurfacing, like Fedimints, like eCash, all of that, all using Lightning as an interoperable layer, which is very helpful for swaps and some of those other things that are kind of interesting to see. So I think all of that, and then lastly, I'd say I've been very, very impressed with BTCPay Server's implementation of the Bolt cards and the Bolt rings. You guys did an amazing job last year with Riga when you debuted it. I think that was the first time a lot of Bitcoiners realized that actually Lightning is not as crap as a lot of people tend to say it is. And two, it's actually fun to spend with a card that has Bitcoin, talk less of using the ring itself. So I think it's been a huge success. And so I've seen it in a lot of conferences and became the gold standard for payments essentially across conferences. So resolve the issue of the hypocrisy of paying with Visa, MasterCard in a Bitcoin conference or buying tickets for a Bitcoin conference using that. So I think it's very bright. I'd like to see a lot more of that experimentation. And yeah, I say, like Connor said, if you're not bullish, it's because you're not paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I'm really optimistic about the future when it comes to that. And shout out goes to a Bolt card from Coin Corner, then Bolt _ card because they did all the protocol work. Then My Pleb Tech, Alan Bits. They really pioneered a lot of stuff. But I see the value of BTCPay Server is because we're such a team where all the different individual qualities are together in a team, and then that allows us to have moments like this day or me and Parker in New York. So yeah, I'm really excited because I see more of that into the future, and then Bolt cards that you mentioned, Sure, I just wanted to finish with that Odell said on the stage to Jack, hey, people should send $21 in sats, they get a Bolt card, and then when they join the Nostr conference, they get $42. So they're getting money to come to the conference. Yeah. Question?
No, I was just going to ask you. So I've always viewed BTCPay Server as like a very welcoming, fun, technically competent community, and not all free open source Bitcoin communities get there. They might have really good projects that are very much needed in Bitcoin, but they don't always get to a level where they can have a room full of very enthusiastic people come and just talk about merchant adoption, BTCPay Server. So what advice would you give to free open source Bitcoin projects to get to this level of community?
Support each other, teams, especially once you grow team beyond 4 people. Teams are hard. Everyone has their own desires, their own, flaws, their own constraints, their own angriness, their own character. But at the end of the day, you need to unite and unify around common mission, and then say, hey, mission is the one that matters. So it's not that we as a team are perfect. It's that just we make it seem that way through working with each other every day. And then if you go to our Telegram channel, every day you will see someone being upset or hating on the project, or you see it online, but or being spammed with the newest token scam. But we delete those posts, post something that's useful, and move on. And then as we do that, more and more people join in the project, like all of you, and then it's a bigger support. But it all starts from supporting each other in the team and putting, team goals ahead of your individual goals.
I just wanted to quickly add that BTCPay Server gives me immense hope and it makes me more bullish than ever. Oftentimes when you're in the space, you'll hear about NGU, number go up, right? As Rockstar said before, some people were paying $600 to see a very famous person with orange hair, babble on about Bitcoin for an hour. And I was like, if every one of those people who spent $600 to see a politician speak donated to BTCPay Server instead, the world would be much better off, right? There's a lot of people who want to, open their Charles Schwab account or open their, their Vanguard account, buy the BlackRock ETF, and then see the number go up in their portfolio. And obviously, if Bitcoin is to be a successful currency, if Bitcoin is to be successful, we'll need to see mainstream adoption, we'll need to see big banks using it, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not discounting that. But oftentimes, we often lose track of the bigger goal. Freedom go up, right? FGU. We want the world to be more free. We want a world where human rights activists can buy a VPN so they can safely criticize their governments, right? Without their ISP or trackers selling them out and then them going to prison, right? And oftentimes, I'm checking out VPN websites and I see that they can check out with BTCPay Server so they can buy a VPN safely and anonymously. That gives me hope, right? Sometimes whether it's a human rights activist in Turkmenistan who needs to buy a VPS server to host their own project because they're cut off from the global financial system, and they can check out for a virtual private server using BTCPay Server, right? That gives me hope. Or sometimes maybe I'm in the United States and I just want to buy something that they don't sell on Amazon or eBay, privately, securely, freely, legally. I want to check out using BTCPay Server, right? So at the end of the day, number go up is important. It's part of the deal. Politicians using Bitcoin is just part of the deal, and that's to be expected. But BTCPay Server really is the embodiment of freedom go up technology, free and open source, and that's what makes me bullish.
Yeah, just another little point. It's everyone in this room is not going to complain about number go up and store of value. That's all great stuff. But to get to the next phase of medium of exchange, BTCPay Server and adjacent tools and merchant adoption is extremely important. We do have decentralized exchanges and decentralized marketplaces, but the true decentralized marketplace is probably just the economy of medium and small businesses doing trade. At the end of the day, that is the biggest decentralized marketplace we can have. And so, we just need to keep doubling down and pushing the merchant adoption as much as we can. I'm going to El Salvador in November. I think the conference is, I haven't been there for a few years, so I'm keen to see how things are going over there in a country where it is legal tender, and there are a lot of opportunities for merchants to accept Bitcoin as payment and things of that nature. So I wouldn't underestimate the kind of work that's happening here. It's certainly a key pillar to us realizing Bitcoin as a money, as a day-to-day money.
We will make it happen because your funding costs keep funding costs, so freedom can go up. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone. We will reserve questions for after because we only have two more sessions, no panels. But first we have our BTCPay ambassadors, right, government?
I'm going to take over from here. I would like to call up George from Botev Football Club. They've been doing an amazing job really spreading Bitcoin in Bulgaria. So applause for George. He will talk a little bit about how they're orange building the local community, and very, very interesting story.
Thanks, Bob. So I was first at BTCPay Server 3 years ago here in Riga. And I very much resonate with a lot of what kind of was already shared. I very much wanted to be part or to support or to be involved in one way or another in this truly project which which just, like what just said, like brings freedom up, right? Pushes freedom up. And here I am 3 years later, you know, actually having built some experience and pushing BTCPay Server in my hometown, in my home country. And so I'm going to share a bit more about the football club that I've had the privilege to work exactly, literally 1 year from 1 year ago. And where I like to say that we're pushing towards building a 360-degree sports club. And I'll share more basically in this presentation. So, and obviously I'll share specifically, we'll have some time to talk about the BTCPay Server. But initially, just to give some general context, kind of like for you to understand why this is important, why I devote my time, energy, why I haven't really been on a vacation for a year so far. So a bit of context as to what this is all about. This is my hometown, Plovdiv, Bulgaria, where the club is based. Happens to be the oldest really city in the whole of Europe. It's a city that's 8,000 years old. There's like tons of reasons why it's pretty much the most popular place for tourism in my country. And Botev Plovdiv in particular is the oldest football club that was established in 1912, so 112 years ago. We have just literally last year opened our brand new stadium that is the most modern facility in the country, hosting 19,000 people. And often people always, like, obviously people ask me, so are you like in third, fourth, fifth division, whatever, like how big is actually the club? And, you know, like the club is, it's actually like fucking big. I mean, we have been playing forever in the top division. We just won the Bulgarian Cup, which is really the equivalent of the FA Cup in the UK. And I like to say that, you know, again, like we're really at this point the only currently professional sports team that is devoting resources to me, to two more people in our club, my team, right, to be like specifically developing our Bitcoin strategy when it comes to operations, when it comes to branding, when it comes to merchandising, when it comes to corporate development strategy, and so on and so forth. We just also, like, following the winning of the National Cup, we played in Europe, 6 absolutely beautiful, emotional games. And we made our small part of Bitcoin history by having, for the first time, in 2 of our games, we played with the Bitcoin logo front center on the chest of the jerseys. Fucking like probably 1 million people watch this, you know, in our country, in the other countries. So it's really surreal that this is happening, and that yeah, we're just getting started, to be fair, I believe. So just like very brief, so this was like the context on the sports side of the club. On the tech side, kind of what we're doing, and I guess like generally like the strategies to like what does this whole 360-degree approach means. What this really means for us is like, we are pushing the boundaries creative-wise as to what we can do when it comes to like how we can integrate, show Bitcoin in a sports organization, which is really like why the football club is so special, and especially like a large club of our size, is because it is a living organism, right? This is not just a business. It is an entity around which tens of thousands, like in our case about more than 100,000 people, like are actually engaged. The club, like in our scale of the countries, you can say like the Liverpool of Bulgaria, in the sense like it has a very large footprint just in the mind space of like society and the country in general. And so we keep, you know, thinking of various ways in which we can do. Obviously, like social-wise, you know, from the very beginning, we like, you know, we kind of decided, okay, we're going to build this example of like a Bitcoin first like sports club. And we said, okay, we also want to do everything and anything we do when it comes to Bitcoin and you know, like adjacent technologies to push freedom up, to push yeah, like freedom of speech in general. So that's why, like, since basically we announced the whole move on October 31st last year, we went to Nostr. We've been there. We've been like more or less active for the past almost 10 months now. After BTC Prague, where I spent and got to know a lot of people actually that are involved in Nostr, we decided we're going to run our own relay. And we haven't really publicly announced it, but basically, literally from about 10 days or so, we do run our relay that anyone can now add, relay.botev.sv. So on any, whatever, like you're using Primo, Nose.social, Amethyst, or whatever, right? You can add our relay that has been run, and it's become possible again through another friend, Bitcoiner, and very early Nostr proponent, Ivo Greshev, who I'd like to give kudos to, because he did kind of the whole technical work to getting this live. So that's one thing we've been doing. Obviously, educational-wise, it's very important. We've been doing monthly meetups every beginning of the month. We've been selling books in our fan shop for Bitcoin, for Fiat. We've been, there we go. We've been, and excitingly, people getting involved, right? Both from the actual, active core fan base. Many of the people have been, extremely enthusiastic about this move. But obviously, many more people who haven't been fans of the club or of football at all have gotten involved. And we keep doing and doing ever more exciting things. Like this, for example, large banner has been on all of our European home games, again, being broadcasted front face, and just sparking conversations among people. We, on the tech side, obviously, many projects actually been doing. So that's the most exciting part. I'm just sharing a small part of the things we've been doing, because also a small part has been actually materialized, but very notably, we've partnered with Jan3, and if any of you has an Aqua wallet, basically we have built a Botev skin mode, which is really like a core dark version than the regular version on your Aqua wallet. So if anyone has an Aqua wallet, just by going to settings, you can turn your non-custodial Aqua into a Botev mode. And obviously, very importantly, crucially for finance and payments, that was literally the first step that we started with accepting payments, right? And actually today marks pretty much 1 year. So at last HoneyBadger's event, when I was, this was the first few days that I started working on the project, and this is when I experienced firsthand the merchant experience that BTCPay Server built with together with the Bitcoinized POS devices. And I thought, this is just a beautiful experience that we would like. It makes perfect sense for us to recreate as we push the project in Bulgaria. So now, myself, I really kind of lead all kind of these different directions. So I'm not like a tech person, and I don't get involved from A to Z. But again, this is what makes this is why I'm so happy to be part of this community. Is that when I reach out to people, they help, and I often find help people in this room, but many other people too. So in this case, I've been speaking mostly to Paf from the team, who's given guidance, who's spoken. We've gotten in touch with Fernando from the Bitcoinized devices, who's been helpful. And very importantly, in terms of ambassadors, so I'm obviously an ambassador in a way you can say for BTC in Bulgaria, spreading the good word. But importantly, in our case, we partnered with a very good friend and a local company, CryptoDesk, Alexander Zakhariev, who basically has built a BTCPay Server instance, and who kind of did the heavy lifting of just launching the actual server, and then on our side we did more of like the setup as actually connecting our wallets and so on and so forth. So, so 2 months basically after, well, yeah, it was 2 months after the HoneyBadger, we recreated the exact same setup in Bulgaria for our launch of the official announcement. Later we faced another kind of, well, the next step for us was, okay, now we support Bitcoin payments offline. Now we also want to support on our online shop. Now, me coming to this, you know, to the club and kind of learning how everything is set up, we had this Bulgarian-focused e-commerce provider, CloudCard, that was that we used for as our own online commerce platform. And you know, I reached to the guys, start talking to them. It's like, hey, like we want to accept Bitcoin payments, X and Y reasons. I always like explain, try to even orange peel them as I explain, you know, past my excitement. They're like, yeah, sure, okay, we're going to see. And then after back and forth, okay, like we can do this for you, we can integrate, because obviously we said like, yeah, we're already working with BTCPay Server, so it would be cool if you just integrate that them directly. And yeah, we can do it for you, it's gonna cost you 4,000 euro. And I'm like, I mean, this was like a ridiculous amount, especially like when you take in consideration how much in total we paid for the for this CloudCard solution. And especially since I told them like, hey, yeah, we have like the BTCPay Server guys that are gonna help if there are questions. I have another friend here locally who's gonna ask you questions. But the whole problem really with CloudCard was that, like, and the reason we had to push for this is because they're a closed source platform, right? And so we cannot do anything unless they allow us to do. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. So let's see what else we can do. And we started looking into alternatives, right? And kind of two projects in which we looked as an alternative was like WooCommerce for building our online shop or Shopify. And we went with WooCommerce basically for a similar reason in which we've paid we've went with BTCPay again. Open source, free to use. We need nobody else's permission. No monthly fees, really, right? As opposed to Shopify and so on and so forth. So we said, screw this CloudCard company. We're gonna rebuild the whole thing, and we're going to go kind of like, you know, like just build it from scratch in a way that long term we don't have to be dependent on anybody else. We don't have to like be kind of tied to these you know, recurring high costs, or if we want to change something, make something, again, like we're always dependent on this one centralized entity. So what we did, we built our online WooCommerce store, and again, kind of we used the exact setup with our friends at the Crypto Desk. And in this case, around that time also was when the Blink solution was enabled, which allows us to very easily kind of accept the short term and manage the short term, like to receive and hold the short term funds before we move it to cold storage. So this is kind of like, yeah, how we've done it for the online store. This is how we've done it for the ticketing part, pretty much again identical setup. And now, like most recently, you know, we've been very excited because again, from day one, like last year when I was here, I was like, okay, it's super cool that we have these cards. They're kind of, you know, cheap to set up. And since we have our own cards as a football club, right? We have these member cards. I'm like, why don't we just do, you know, start doing these cards to be bolt cards too, right? Because this can be an elegant way in which we, in one way or another, push Bitcoin adoption too. So it's taken us some time, but right kind of on time, right? Since relatively recently, BTCPay also introduced the built-in feature to program cards, right? Now, basically, we have it, right? And I mean, it's really easy. Like, seriously, it's not complicated at all. We're literally just starting this. We've been programming the first. I just programmed about the first cards, and you know, one of those in the past year, so many surreal things and weird things have happened. Like I programmed literally like last week about 20 cards initially as this first batch. There were only 4 cards that didn't program correctly. And these cards were because we personalized. Come on, man. So basically, we personalize every single card. So you can see the name of the person that to whom the card belongs, right? So for whatever cosmic reason, the only 4 cards that didn't work were of Pav, Nicolas, Kukks, and Webworthy. So I guess it's just karma, eating your own dog food, so to say, right? But yeah, like having gone through this whole experience, frankly, and obviously, yeah, I think it's an amazing product, really. Like the whole stack for us, I would say like it's going to be our go-to solution. The whole way in which it allows us to basically build our infrastructure for online, offline payments, and then create this personalized just card experience is surreal that we can use basically for free. So thank you guys, keep doing the work. It's really huge. It's huge what this has done for us, and I think we're just a small example. Hopefully we can make this way bigger, but others will as well. So kind of like what's coming up, excitingly, others in Bulgaria are also doing cool things. So just recently, OrderBG is another company based in our city that is kind of a Bulgarian takeaway that just won a Bitcoin grant from Bitcoin Beach, and we're partnering together with them. So we will start literally from next week a SaaS-backed campaign, so that when people both in Plovdiv and in Sofia, when they order with Bitcoin, they can order basically like tons of foods, and when they order with Bitcoin, they will get SaaS back, the restaurant will get SaaS back, and also the delivery guy will get SaaS back too. So we'll see how this goes, but hopefully this can be yet another, adding on top of yet another step, adding a brick on many of the campaigns we've been doing. And really kind of like very, very briefly, lastly, on the sports part, because at the end of the day, so I said like we're really looking to build this 360-degree club, right? Really, what makes me most excited, unfortunately, I don't want to make an announcement of the announcement, but we have a lot of exciting sports-related projects coming that are related to Bitcoin, and I hope we'll bring the conversation locally and internationally about Bitcoin on a whole new in a whole new way. So yeah, just I'll end by quoting here our patron of the club, after whom the club is named, Botev, who used to be a Bulgarian poet and revolutionary, and who, if he was alive, I'm 100% sure he would have been a Bitcoiner, who said that the human struggle for freedom demands many hands and minds. And so I thank you for being here, for investing your time, your energy, your minds into these amazing times and revolution we are ourselves building. The best is yet to come, one go at a time. Please, make sure you follow us on Primo, X, and I kindly invite you to plan your trip. Every 2 weeks we have a home game in Plovdiv. Like I said, there's tons of reasons to visit the city, to come see how we have implemented BTCPay, buy merch. I also have some scarves back there, so if anyone wants a scarf with the best is yet to come, writing, please.
I'm coming to Bulgaria, then gonna party with Andrea and Aziz. We'll fix that stuff like I fixed HDMI here. One more ambassador, Alex. And then our main session with
Paula, next then is Kukks.
Yeah, so we will keep this one nice and sweet and short. I know a lot of you are tired. It's been a long conference week. It's been a lot of days. As you saw, people onboarding people locally through BTCPay Server is really something that we as a project are very heavily focused on. And I was really blown away when I learned that we have people in the jungles, literally onboarding people to accept Bitcoin. One such project is Bitcoin Jungle project. We have Paul here who will join us. Last time I checked, they onboarded 200 merchants on a single BTCPay Server instance, and all of them are accepting Bitcoin. So if you ask me, that's pretty big. So come on, Paul, tell us a short story about the project, and yeah, applause for Paul.
Hey, Bill. George, those jerseys are sexy, man. I want one of those. Baby blue, I love that. Yeah, I'll just inject you with a little bit of bullishness and remind y'all why we're here, in my opinion. We've had a restaurant down at Bitcoin Jungle stack more than a whole coin. But Butcher, they opened up a restaurant. They expanded because of all the using their Bitcoin gains. The guy I buy eggs from, he bought a new truck with his Bitcoin gains. It's all freaking happening down there. And even I can set up a Bitcoin Pay server for restaurants, and that's what I've been doing. I spent time where Bitcoin Jungle originated down in Uvita, and I'm expanding it in Santa Teresa so I can live my almost bankless dream. Yeah, working on it. Thanks. It's really cool what's going on down there, and I'm just going to share a couple more things. I believe it's 450 BTCPay servers we have set up. 1,000 transactions last month, 5 new BTCPay stores this last weekend, and 10 merchants are using the Shopify and WooCommerce integration. So it's all happening. Keep building, and thanks for the time.
All right, so I believe it was last BTCPay day, last year in Riga, when we, exactly like this, at the end announced that we were working on something new. We showed a few Figma files at that time and our plans to build a BTCPay app, cross-platform app that will mostly be focused on mobile, but will also run on the desktop. So, you heard George, you heard Paul from Costa Rica, like people are trying to onboard people to Bitcoin. Unfortunately, doing it in a non-custodial way with Lightning is difficult. And currently with BTCPay Server, I would dare to say impossible. Because you, as somebody sharing your BTCPay Server with others, you need to be their custodian. And that is really a hard sell. Like, none of us here love custodians. We all believe in freedom and like freedom of choice, and everybody should own their keys, like your keys, your Bitcoin. These ambassadors, as we refer to them, are trying to onboard people, but they don't want a regulatory unclarity. They don't want this overhead of dealing with other people's keys, like nobody wants to do that. So, we as BTCPay Server were always run your own node, your keys, your coins. However, as we started implementing Lightning, things started deviating a little bit because, you know, a lot of things had to be abstracted, and in order to make that easy, we had to make some compromises. I'm sure a lot of you saw here what we did at Riga and also here in Riga, Baltic HoneyBadger, onboarding merchants. Unfortunately, all of that was custodial. The reason we built a BTCPay app is come back to our original mission, which is non-custodial Bitcoin for anybody on the planet. However, all these people need a little bit of hand-holding, need a little bit of help, and ambassadors or people hosting BTCPay for others will help them. So, with the BTCPay app, very shortly, Lightning node is running on the mobile device. Keys are always in the control of a merchant. All of that Lightning Lightning channels and all this stuff are abstracted away, and we believe that LSPs will handle all of these complexities. I will leave the technical explanation for the team here, but I guess for now the goal is merchants first. We really know what merchants want. Like at this point, we've done so many setups, talked to so many people. A lot of you yell at us at Telegram all the time when things don't work. Like we really know what kind of experience and what kind of features you guys want to see. Here in Riga, we really know what merchants want. They want speed of transactions. They don't want to think about Bitcoin. And this is our goal with the BTCPay app. have a keypad, enter a number, press charge, invoice pops in, NFC card or a QR code scan, and it's done. You have your receipt printed out, you have reports, and you have invoices. Simple and easy onboarding is very important. Like, we really want to allow merchants who run, ambassadors who run BTCPay for others, literally to onboard them with a scan of a QR code or a link. So you're, as a merchant, somebody shares a QR, you scan it, and you are already onboarded to Bitcoin. There is not a manual setup, so all these steps, and we are really doubling down on that, like easy onboarding, and yeah, we are aiming to have the best non-custodial for merchants. I guess it's not a demo. I just want to say that, can you go back previous? We are really not building another Lightning wallet. Like, all of these Lightning wallets are great for customers, but for merchants, merchants really have the specific needs and specific experience, and they really have different needs. And we as a team really know what they want. So we are not building another wallet. We are not really interested in that. That's pretty much it. Not another Lightning wallet, and I just want to emphasize keys on the device, Lightning node on the device, no overhead for merchant, easy onboarding, and yeah, I guess we can go to the fun part and do the demo.
All right. But before we even get to the app, let's start on the server, because we imagine this to be a use case where, for instance, an ambassador running a BTCPay server gets to invite other people to their instance, and in this case we are now starting out as an administrator or ambassador, inviting another user to be then onboarded using the BTCPay app. So here I'm as an ambassador going to add a new user, and I'm going to invite myself, and this will lead to an email being sent out where there's a QR code and people can download the app. But let me just copy the link, which they can also use. And now we are switching to this user mode. We are the new store owner, and again, to keep it simple, I'm showing you this in the browser, but imagine this is running on the mobile device. The user just downloaded the app. They open the app, get greeted with a plain and simple welcome screen, which explains what this is about. They click that they want to get started, and now they could even scan the QR code they got sent. I'll again use the link for that, and I'm now ready to accept the invitation. Okay, boom, invitation accepted. Nice, I need to set a password. Let me do that real quick. And once that's done, I'm logged into the instance. I got an account already set up. So the next thing I need to do is I need to create a store. Let me do that real quick as well. I named this store demo, and here I am. I got logged into a BTCPay server instance of an ambassador who invited me. I just created a new store, and what you didn't see, but what happened automatically in the background, a Bitcoin on-chain wallet has been created and a Bitcoin Lightning node using LDK. And with all of that ready and set up, I can now go ahead and finally start accepting payments. I go over, load the keypad, put in some numbers. Let's make it some more. Make it even worthwhile accepting money, and I hit charge. Now, as we are on our demo instance and using RegTest, I can use our nice cheat mode to pay this invoice. But as you see, there's an on-chain address which got generated using the wallet of the app. There's a Lightning old 11 payment code which was generated using the LDK Lightning node. And as I said, I'll, to keep it simple, use our handy cheating method of generating payments. And look at all the nice confetti, it looks really great. Okay, so now that the invoice is paid, I go over to the invoices screen to see what happened here. And I can see it's paid, I can look up all the details, I can access the receipt for that invoice, and everything's really cool. I will go to the home screen back again, and I see, oh, something happened. I got money, I can see the sales and statistics here, and if I'd like to cash out that money, I then go over to the Send tab and can review the balances I have. I have some money on-chain now, I could even have some money in Lightning. I can go over here, put in an on-chain address, and yeah, withdraw that money to a wallet that's external, maybe my own or whatever. So in general, that's a short and sweet demo of the app, but I hope it shows how easy and simple we envision this to be. We try to make it as less steps as possible, so that merchants really can focus on their business and don't have to spend much time with the nitty-gritty details of Bitcoin and Lightning. Our vision is to encapsulate as much as we can and make it as seamless as possible experience as we can. So, yeah, with that, that's the demo, and yeah, let's go back to the slides then.
Okay, let's kill you all with technical details.
Okay. Please.
Well, I mean, I'll try not to kill you, but let me explore my annoying chart. Oh no, it's fine actually. I only have one slide. So, to anyone that knows how BTCPay Server works today, you'll know that there is BTCPay Server, but there's also a bunch of other components in the background. You have NB Explorer, which tracks your on-chain data. It's like our super optimized UTXO tracker. An alternative to this would be something like Electrum for most people. We have our own, specifically built for merchants, so there's never any gap limit issue, or any of those technical details. What else do we have? We have a Bitcoin core node that NB Explorer connects to. Probably not even in here, but there's many details in the background. So now we're adding a couple more. The app has two parts to it, right? So the app is actually, right now, the demo was basically showing a nice seamless onboarding experience, but it also shows a Lightning node being created in the background and an on-chain wallet. It's important to know that these two are kind of separate. You can actually use the entire app, the new app, in a way that is not even using the Lightning node capabilities. You can use it as a remote control for any existing setup that you have running. So if you are comfortable running your core Lightning node that you have had for the past 5 years, the app will basically just work. Like exactly as you would expect it to work, all pre-configured. But I will focus a bit on the Lightning side of things. I think if you want to know more about the seamless onboarding experience, you saw that it was basically maybe 3-step flow. That's pretty good. I think it's a good direction we were going in. The Lightning node stuff is all based on LDK. We got the C# bindings to make this happen late last year, and we just started straight away building a proof of concept, which was surprisingly very easy to build. And as soon as we finished that, we started just putting everything together to start the app. So the app comes in, requires a couple of things. First off, we need to build the V2 for BTCPay that we showed off earlier. It allows us to expand some capabilities that were needed to make this happen. For example, we can now do some crazy stuff around plugins, which will come in handy for some stuff I'll explain in a bit. But the first part is tracking your Lightning stuff. Like Lightning generates a bunch of on-chain fingerprints that you have to be able to manage. For example, your channels, you have to really be careful about that. So we built a mapping capability to support our NPX UTXO tracker there. And we're handling everything for you, obviously, and everything will be hopefully seamless. The next thing is you always need to be able to do backups of your Lightning state. With BTCPay Server, we have had Lightning support since forever, basically. With every Lightning node that's possible to add in. But we have always had this issue with backups. Like, every implementation has their own way of doing it, potentially. Actually, we don't quite know if they all function, the backups. But, we had to do something about it, and this is actually one important use case for us. So this is actually one good reason to use LDK. We can control the entire state, we can back it up, and be sure that we're doing it right. So LDK ships us with a bunch of standard components that you would use. They have many design choices built around a sustainable and secure backup system, which we've built directly into BTCPay. That's one thing. They're encrypted, so obviously you don't want to be backing up your secret keys to BTCPay Server and just saying, oh, okay, you store them for me, keep them safe for me, and then the ambassador runs away with your money. So that's encrypted on the device, so end-to-end encrypted using an LDK called VSS. Another thing is we need redundancy. This is an app that runs on a device, especially if you're running it on a mobile device. That can be tricky to keep it reliable. BTCPay Server can be used online and in person, right? So we needed a way to make sure that you can actually have redundancy. So BTCPay Server is probably one of the first few applications that allow you to run your Lightning node in a redundant manner. You can have multiple devices. And by the way, this app runs cross-platform, so Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, Linux, it runs on everything. The idea behind that is, okay, I will have 5 devices as a store owner, all connected to an ambassador instance, to my user account, and they will all be running the same Lightning node with the same keys on it. They will synchronize the Lightning channels, all the Lightning payments, any action that you're doing in the background automatically. And if one of them goes down, it will switch over to the other one and make that the active Lightning node, ensuring that everything stays running. One cool thing with this is if you have a desktop, like a laptop running in the back of your company, in the back office, you can just have that running the app, and it will ensure that everything just works. With this, you can even use the Lightning node on an app online to receive online payments as well. Where else can we go with this? We also know that Lightning channel liquidity is hard to manage, so we obviously went in the route of having LSP support. We will be supporting any major way to handle liquidity. Right now we have just-in-time channels in the works. It's almost working. We'll get that ready soon. And we will support the LSPS spec to be able to pipe channels and also the just-in-time channels through it, be able to configure it to multiple liquidity sources, all the crazy stuff. But one crazy thing we also want to plan for long-term use is that an ambassador can run a plugin that allows you to run an LDK node inside the server itself. And what that does for us is we can actually extend our Lightning capabilities that we've had since day one by being able to dig deep into technical details of how to use a Lightning node. We can now also build on top of other plugins. So the plugin system has been optimized so that we can have one plugin that depends on another plugin to build advanced capabilities. So, for example, you will have an LDK Lightning node implementation running on the server, and then you can build an LSP plugin that runs on this LDK plugin. And what can this do? An ambassador can become an LSP for its users. Now, an ambassador might not be experienced enough to run an effective LSP.
You need quite a lot of liquidity to make this work. So what can you do there? Okay, get the ambassador to fund its users, but then it can source its liquidity from the major LSPs. This kind of allows to have multi-hop LSPs connectivity, and you can charge the app users and monetize your instance. It's not included in the stock because it's not part of it, but we also have a subscription plugin that allows you to monetize the ambassador situation if you need to offer additional services on top. Is there any other thing that we can do here? Yeah, so if you are running an app, you also have freedom of choice. Like the ambassador might be running an LDK LSP, but you also have configurable Lightning liquidity providers. You can bypass the ambassador anytime and find your own LSP to use. And there is always some backdoor channel management if you needed to do that.
So as you saw, a lot of background complexity, flexibility, and modularity, but we are not sacrificing the UX for the end user, which is merchant. And I think that's important. Like as Kukks said, like even if your ambassador server goes down or decides to stop working or just like tries to rug pull you, you will always be able to recover your funds with another ambassador, or you deploy your own server and then recover it there, because the keys are always at your device itself. So that's very important to highlight that, I think.
Yeah, one more thing to mention is also that what we're doing in the app has its foundation in what has been built for the server. So for instance, for all the UI components and the design and so on, we are reusing what we have built over the years there. So the app across all the platforms that Kukks just mentioned will have the same look and feel. And I think this is also very important. And this is also important in a sense, not just that it moves or makes us develop the app really fast because we can build on an existing base and don't have to use new tech, but also everything that we build for the app, we benefit on the server end as well again. And so components that we are now exclusively building for the app, for instance, one major part of the app will be that we will try to deal with the wallet and Lightning Node in a way that we will try to show unified balances, for instance, as much as possible. And this will be a feature which then also will make its way back onto the server, simplifying the UX on both ends. And in the 2.0 talk, I already mentioned that we are extending the API for the app, and this is also something that then server users will benefit from very much. So I think all in all, this is also a nice experience on the dev side because we basically get to extend BTCPay on all fronts, and that's a very cool thing.
And I guess none of this wouldn't be possible without Dstrukt making all these crazy ideas beautiful. So I guess you have a lot to say about how we get here.
Yeah, I guess I can wrap up the talk with, technical wizardry aside and all the things that are under the hood, that, it's taken a tremendous amount of effort to get to this stage. And, you're looking at the people who have been working tirelessly to make that incredibly complex architecture work. But we also recognize that if we're to compete with existing payment solutions outside of the technical realities, we need to be able to deliver an experience that matches what people expect, and people have very, very high expectations. And that's not lost on us. And I think we're still also trying to figure out how to deliver that in the package that is the app, that is just as dead simple as possible, and you can start to see all the things that are happening under the hood. But with that, better tips, better keypad, the most relevant dashboard metrics in the most simplified way, better invoice details, receipts, things that are just incredibly clear, and reporting so that you as a business, it's amazing to watch what you guys are doing. that you can continue to operate as simply as possible, and then we're going to backport that and improve the server with the things that we learn here, because we're always trying to simplify how to use this, but also keep it, I suppose, complex. I like to use like an onion layer model. You know, you have the simplicity up front, and for the people who need the complexity, they can dig in deeper, and it gives them, or it gives both parties or both users the type of need, or it satisfies the need for both parties, that everybody gets exactly what they want and can deliver the best to, you know, their customers and, you know, their users. But yeah, it's incredibly exciting, and yeah, it's awesome to see it come this far, and we still have quite a ways to go. So yeah, thank you.
So, I guess, Rob, do we have time for a few questions, and then maybe you guys can catch us outside? 2 questions, Rockstar says. Okay, let's go. One in the back.
Yeah, thank you so much. I also like the NIP numbers, or the 69 for 20. I see what you've done there. Nice. My question will be about liquidity. So, as far as I understand, the merchant is onboarded. You have a receive QR code. If it's on chain, it's custodial, right? I mean, not custodial. So it's the merchant has the keys for the coin, and if it's Lightning, the channel should be open. So my question is like step by step. The ambassador is managing the liquidity. So I'm curious how is the channel opening works.
So it's a 2-tier process so far. We're still trying to evaluate the right flow, but there's 2 ways to do this LSP magic, right? The first one is wrapped invoices, just-in-time channels, where you have you generate a Bolt 11 that you want to give to the customer, but instead of giving it to the customer, you give it to the LSP. The LSP grabs this, wraps it around their own invoice in an atomic way. Like, they can't just pull the money from the customer and you don't get anything in an atomic way. And what happens is the customer starts initiating the payment to this LSP invoice. The LSP notices that there's it's for this specific node. If there's enough liquidity, we'll just use that channel. If there isn't, it will open a channel right at that moment in time, and pass the Lightning payment through it in that moment, like instantly. So this enables like a automated first onboarding with no requirements for capital. Another way is you buy the channel upfront, but you need Bitcoin to do that. So the idea is you start off with a just-in-time channel, you get some money out of this channel, then you can start managing liquidity a bit better, because just-in-time channels are generally a bit more expensive. And also, you do have, like, an ambassador can have a business agreement with you. They might be able to just open a channel as agreed or something. Like I mentioned, a subscription plugin, right? Maybe you're doing this, you're paying them upfront monthly fee, and they will give you an allocated channel management solution.
Right, so
automated from their end.
Yeah, so either the ambassador does it, or the ambassador asks the LSP to open direct channel with the new node, which is the app. Yeah, awesome, good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
One more final question.
Hi, I'm not sure if it's the right time, but what really would interest me, if you can just roughly talk about the UX around the backups, or you said you can have some other computer running, do they have to run at the same time? Can they run at the same time, or how to switch?
So technically it does not run at the same time. They synchronize the data in real time. But what will happen is you have an encrypted backup. So your channel gets updated, it increments a version, sends it to the server, and stores it there. And then all the other devices are downloading this updated version. When the main device that's still running, the Lightning node is running on this one device, goes down, the other notices and takes over. It's a master-slave kind of dynamic architecture. So you have 5 devices, one goes down, switches to the next one. Since we're synchronizing all the state to a server, we already have the data you need so that you can run the Lightning nodes in a non-corruptible way.
So it's automatically distributed. Just when you set it up, in two places, it's automatically distributed.
Yeah, well, I mean, automatically distributed is a strong word. I think it's a strong term. I would say first come, first serve. We can be smart about it, but I don't want to be too smart about it. It's also important to note that the backups are end-to-end encrypted. So when you generate, the first time, you're generating a private, an encryption key that needs to be paired. Like if you have a second device, you have to pair it. You have to pair it with the original device, so that you can get. It's kind of like Signal, right? You create your account. You have to pair it with the other one. You have to scan the QR code. So you have that kind of flow to make sure the server never gets access to your essential money.
Well, thank you for answering that question. Thank you guys, I watched over the last year how much effort you have put into creating BTCPay app. And I love the tagline again. It says that not everyone can deploy a server, but anyone can install the app. And with that, final applause for our BTCPay developers, designers. Applause for all of you for joining us, supporters of BTCPay Server Foundation, without whom, we wouldn't be able to do this. And there is just one thing left. Well, two things. Number one, more important, join us for a group photo over at, outside. We're going to go on that stage. And then second thing, whoever wants to swing Uncle's hammer can do that. We have some cans. Let's go, let's party. Let's go, follow me. And after party, if you still want to party with me, I'll be going to basement like the rest of the team. Let's go.